What's happening, folks? Just getting settled here. Now, we said 7 o'clock, so I don't really expect anyone to be on right now, but I just come on to prep things, and then Meredith will come on around 7 or so. I just don't mind prepping in real time. I know some people can't stand it, but it's no big deal to me. So let's do a little bit of this and this over here. Someone's in. Hey, Scott, how you doing? How's Philly doing? Hi, Annalie. Well, there are people here already. Beautiful. So yeah, coming at you from the deck here, Bridge headquarters in Gloucester, Massachusetts. It's the first show with the good Dr. Lockwood, who'll be answering pet care questions. I have more questions for her than I have for Annette usually, and I have a lot for Annette. So I had a live session a couple nights ago and gathered questions from folks. So it's great. Hi, Rose. Hey, Sharon. How you doing tonight? Good to see everybody. It's beautiful here in Gloucester again. We're really lucking out with the weather this time around. Last July, it rained almost every single day. And we're actually in a drought now, but I'm not complaining, but it's beautiful. Hey, Lucretia, how are you? SG, Maryland. Oh, look, Lake Milton, Ohio. Cool. Good to see all of you tonight. I'm just here to shoot the breeze for a bit and go over a couple other things, and then Meredith will pop in about 20 minutes or so, and we'll get to all the questions and everything. So it should be fun. I think this is going to turn into a pretty big part of the channel. We love doing the stuff with Annette. I think I'm doing another show with Linda G in August, but I think the veterinarian thing could be a sort of a regular piece of the puzzle here. I'm still in contact with a local animal shelter to do something with them as well. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. Yeah, you guys got notified. No kidding. Hi, June. Hi, Jenna. No, don't love your Yankees that much this year. Hey, Pam, how are you? Libra lady, good to see you. Yeah, I have gifts to share as well too. We got a monster care package from the inimitable Warren Green from New York yesterday. And yeah, Lulu, Bubba is around. He's out. He was just chasing a squirrel in the yard. So he's ambling up the stairs now. You're going to see him over my shoulder here momentarily. There he comes. Bubs, come say hi. Yeah, say hi. There he is. What a good boy. All right, as you were. So yeah, Bub's in the house. That's why we don't have our backs to the yard, because it gives no room for Bubba to roam behind us. So there you go, Lulu. Oh, so Warren has sent us a ton of treats from famous delicatessen in New York City. So we'll be sharing some of that tonight, and then most of it on Wednesday's show with Annette. As far as I know, Annette and I are back on with you all 6:30 Eastern time this Wednesday. If the weather looks good again, I think I'll be right back here with her. So that's cool. Hi, Donna. How are you? Yeah. Thanks for all the likes, et cetera, et cetera. All the thumbs up helps a lot. All the subs helps a lot too. Oh, yeah. He's floating around. We'll turn off the phone for this. So I don't know how many of you are well-versed in delicatessens and the language thereof, but we have ourselves a chocolate babka tonight. Do any of you know what a babka is? It looks like this. Unbelievable, right? I mean, that's crazy. So Meredith and I are both chocolate freaks, so we'll test some of that out for you in a little bit. So anyway, that's it. So yeah, I'm Corey, and this is Bridge Cape Bam, and this is going to be the first show starting at 7 p.m. With a real live veterinarian answering your questions on pet care. And I got literally a ream of questions here for everybody. the ream, page after page after page. So super grateful for that. You guys helped me out a lot the other night. And I can't even tell you, Mare's been a veterinarian for as long as I've known her. She went to Stanford, then she went to that's the University of Illinois at Urbana, Urbana. They probably pronounce it Urbana out in the Midwest, not far from where she grew up. And I met her out in Los Angeles ages ago, and we lived out there together for a while before moving back to Gloucester about 11 years ago, almost 11 years ago. We're about a month away from that. So also a month away from Bubba's 10th birthday. So I might have a big birthday party for him coming up in a few weeks. So there is that. So it's good to see everyone tonight. Hi, Barb. How you doing? Yeah, so I have questions from we're asking a veterinarian questions about pets tonight and pet care. So I have a ton. We'll get to, I have way more than enough for one show. But this is something we could be doing on a regular basis, which is great too. Like Annalise just pointed out, if you want to sign up for the Bridge newsletter, a lot of our subscribers have. I usually have links to all of our content in there and a schedule of upcoming shows, et cetera, et cetera. Just email me at hello@bridgecapeband.com. We'll add you to the list. That goes out every Thursday morning, first thing. My time, I'm on the Eastern Seaboard here in the U.S. Let's see. Ms. Lori, I think guys are like dogs and gals are like cats. Personality-wise, I couldn't agree more. Hi, Pam. How you doing? Memo about the ad for this video on the community page. Didn't know whether to laugh or call. Actually, yeah, that was. I find some cool gifts out there, so that was a funny one. I love the last one too. The tower reader who pulls out the that weird cartoony mask on and pulls out a pizza card. So that was fun. But you could try asking questions, and we'll probably try to get to some live ones, just because we know a lot of people didn't participate in the live Q&A. But Meredith really is just trying this out for the first time. We've sort of teased this for a while. And then the other night when I was on with Annette, people were asking, we got some questions then. That turned into a live question gathering session I had on Friday night. And that was and in 1 hour, I literally got 6 pages of questions, that's a lot of questions. So how did we meet? We just met out in Los Angeles. I was working in Hollywood. She was living out near Manhattan Beach, and met out that way. And the hard thing was I worked right in downtown Hollywood, and she was only about 20-25 miles south. But in Los Angeles, it's so hard to maintain a friendship or to keep dating someone or do anything like that, because 25 miles is like 250 miles to real people, 25 freeway miles in Los Angeles, because you just sit in traffic forever. So when I used to work downtown, I was 5 miles from where I worked. I lived in Glendale near Burbank, right by like ABC Studios. Disney was right around the corner from me. Nickelodeon was around the corner. The Price is Right was around the corner from me. And I would drive to basically Hollywood Boulevard, and it would take me like 45 minutes to go those 5 miles. I could figure out if I went early enough in the morning, I knew side streets enough to do all right then. But normally I would go into work, like meander in at 10ish, and then leave like after 7 to avoid rush hours, or else you were screwed. So anyway, yeah. Hey, Vicky, good to see you tonight. Good, Joan. Yeah, well, it's a same thing with she goes, I don't even have a pet, but I'm here. Thanks so much for the kind words. It's kind of like the Annette show, as I have a lot of people who watch who aren't either into the metaphysical thing or hadn't been, and are, they find it alluring now, or they just kind of like the rapport on the show or the fun that we have. So this is sort of the thing I do with lots of my bridge buddies, as I call them, here in Gloucester. I've worked with more than 500 businesses and nonprofits and community groups over the years, and kind of did this sort of a thing. Not quite this elaborate, but on my Facebook page and other outlets too. But it wasn't, now that we're turning this into like, it almost feels like the Corey Kookaroo show is what this is turning into. So anyway, there you go, Dorothy. Yeah, the Chocolate Babka episode of Seinfeld. Yep. So anyway, it's good seeing everybody. Oh, Anna, we're going to get to that question. We have a bunch of those like that. Hi, Peggy. Yeah, we got a few people from Philly in tonight. So that's cool. So My guess is Mary might be a little nervous now, and she's wait a second. Nothing. You're coming in early?
I'll come in.
Wow.
Oh, I have the phone.
Hey, don't watch us.
Yeah.
Don't be a narcissist.
What were you talking about?
That's just saying you might be a little nervous tonight.
I'm a little nervous.
There
Not
you go.
everyone is as natural as me.
Well, look who's here, folks.
Hi, everyone. Got my blanket already.
All right, so we're getting settled in. So, Mary, did you see this
Yeah, you showed it to me. It looks awesome. Wow.
chocolate babka? So, here's
Well,
the
you
story
can have it.
behind this. I want to share. This is from Warren Green once again, right? Awesome guy. You see, sent us all that classic candy a while back, which was amazing. Oh, there's Annalise saying hi. What do you, above? Oh yeah, he knew exactly where to go.
No, Bubba.
No. You be a good boy. All right. So anyway, so here's this chocolate babka from the Cat's Delicatessen. Now, do you know what the Cat's Delicatessen story is? In When Harry Met Sally, the famous deli scene.
Yes.
I'll have what she's
Have
having.
you seen that movie?
This is the delicatessen.
Huh.
And Warren said all kinds of stuff: corned beef and rye bread and sour pickles.
there's
And I
a
mean,
lot of
he
stuff.
sent so much stuff. So this is awesome. So anyway, we'll be enjoying that. You can have a piece now if you
definitely.
want. So, oh, Judy, Meredith, you look lovely.
Thank you.
Do you
Judy,
put
Judy.
makeup on?
I did put a little makeup on. I brushed my hair as my, my usual ponytail and no
Oh, boy.
makeup.
That's funny. No. We do not give Bubba the chocolate babkas.
No, not at all.
But he does hear his name and he does smell chocolate.
Yeah.
So
You thought you were calling
yeah,
him.
he's
to
gonna
get
be
food.
around for a lot of this show tonight. So he is there.
No.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's the Cat's Delicatessen in New York, right downtown. Awesome stuff too. So it's good to see everyone tonight. What do you want to do, man? Do you want to get into questions? Do you want to try this? We should try the babka first, or do you want to? You don't want to eat on camera, do you?
I just had dinner, so.
Did you? I didn't. Did
Not
you
yet.
make it for me?
No.
You didn't make that.
Um,
Interesting.
Why was someone worried about the ad that you put out for this? Why did they think it needed an exorcism?
Oh no.
I didn't see it.
I'll show you real quickly. So in the meantime, you're getting complimented here. Mary.
Oh, thank you, everyone.
Hey.
I'm going to try not
Great
to
to
watch
see
the chat.
you.
Just I'll get very distracted.
Let me do this. I'm just showing Mary something real quick on the channel.
I look at YouTube on my iPad, so I don't get the community channel or the community page.
All right, so this is how I promoted it.
Oh, geez, Corey.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah, freaked a couple people out.
All right.
But anyway.
I was just curious.
Okay. Barb's Wheel of Fortune. My poor cat had 5 teeth removed on Tuesday and now has an Elvis lip curl.
Oh,
Yeah.
it'll probably get better.
Hey, Christy, how you doing? Hi, Amanda. Turtorius. We like that. There we go.
That's a new name.
Cool. Okay, well, you want to get some questions then?
I mean, it's earlier than expected, but
Yeah.
is that all right?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Okay. Are you folks, are we ready for questions now?
Corey's always the sidekick.
Corey, this show can be the vet and the side. I think this show is going to end up growing into its own name somehow. Oh, by the way, so how can everyone hear Meredith okay?
Yeah. I'll
We
try
know,
to match Corey's volume, but I don't want to yell.
no, we know Annette usually is like, Annette, you have to talk into the mic. She's like, okay, this is the 4 of swords. And and then she kind of fades back into her chair.
Yeah. I'll just match your volume.
Yeah. So wait, let's take it to the people first. Ready for questions now or wait 10 minutes?
I can't vote. I'm not in the chat.
There we go. Just a quick poll in case we feel bad for people
Thank you,
coming in.
Ellen.
Because
That's very sweet.
I promoted this for 7, saying that I would come on at 6:30 just to talk because we got a care package from Warren Green again, which is awesome. LNG, Corey got a good looking smart one, you lucky fortunate devil.
Mhm.
I am a charming MFer, Ellen. So yeah, they hear you fine. That's good news.
good. Yes, lots of questions, Amanda. All right, we can start.
There's the
We can have a
babka.
babka.
Now
You don't
there
have
are
any
so many
plates or
questions.
anything.
There are.
There's no
I
napkins.
got
Oh, all
right here
All right.
and that, but anyway.
All right. Well, we'll start with the question.
People want to
we'll
start now.
Okay,
People
that's
want to
fine.
start right now. All right, let me get my questions ready, folks. And again, this is the good Dr. Lockwood. I gave away your last name, by the way, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, you said it. Yeah, not a problem. Give me a good one.
All right. I just want to make sure this goes here. Okay. All right, so we're coming off of 4th of July, right?
Yes.
So Catherine Cheng asked, are there any home remedies for dogs that get severe stress during fireworks season?
Home remedies. So I'm assuming just non-prescription medications. There are, I think, like with anything, there's variable effectiveness. Something that works for one dog may not work for another. So you do have to kind of trial and error. One of my favorites is called Rescue Remedy. 2 words. It's a combination of different herbs and flowers. And it's from people that have used it and told me it's helped their dogs be calmer for fireworks and for thunderstorms, any type of phobia event. It's a liquid. You can order it. Amazon, Chewy. You might be able to find it locally at stores too. But yeah, Rescue Remedy is a good one. Melatonin sometimes can be helpful, but
Really just make dogs drowsy?
Yeah.
Or just, yeah.
Yeah, it's just trying to ease the stress. The Rescue Remedy is more of for anxiety. Melatonin would be more to induce drowsiness.
Is this like when you have an edible?
Oh, Corey.
I'm joking.
Give away my secrets. But yes. So those are 2 medication, but over-the-counter meds, not prescription. There are prescription products too. We prescribe a lot of trazodone around the 4th of July or for thunder or fireworks. Safe, very safe. And then even honestly, just white noise, just turning something on, television, radio, something that drowns out the fireworks a little bit. That can be helpful. And then the last thing, there's a product called a Thunder Shirt. I'm sure there's other brands, but the Thunder Shirt, that's more for storm phobia, but it can help with fireworks too. Just it's kind of like a swaddling theory where the dog's wearing this very close fitting, stretchy fabric on it. It helps with static that can happen in their coats and just can be soothing like a swaddle for a baby. So a few things you can try. Of course, you can do more than one of those. We've thankfully been blessed with dogs that don't really get stressed by fireworks. Jack hated thunderstorms, but
the Maple, well, when we lived in LA, it turned into like downtown Beirut for the 4th of July. Like people were lighting them off all around us. And I mean, it was loud and crazy. You're in the middle of it there, but Bubba now, but he couldn't care less. A bomb could go off next door and he'd sleep through it.
But it's tough. Bad time of year for dogs, unfortunately, with all the fireworks, and we've had a fair amount of thunderstorms too. So try those things. Again, sometimes more than one, and see if that helps.
Okay, so since we're in the we're doing the live chat too, and we said 7 p.m. for some questions. So I have seen a couple in the chat here too. So
I see Narod's comment.
Right.
I'm sorry.
So Nara, sorry, but I had to put my dog to sleep a week ago. I paid to get her cremated by herself. Do you know if I'll really get her ashes back, not some other dog? So we've done the same thing.
Yeah, and I am someone I trust until I'm proven wrong, or that someone proves themselves wrong to me. So I believe when I use a service that it's what I'm paying for. I don't know of any companies that would be dishonest in that way. So yes, I'd feel very comfortable that if you paid for a private cremation, that you are getting your dog's ashes back. So we have a few ourselves.
You do. Okay, so we had another question we had.
One last thing on that though. There are companies, it's a little bit morbid, but there are companies that do let you go to their facility if that would make you more comfortable. It's very
Yeah, depending what neck of the woods you're in too. Watching
Right,
this, yeah.
right. And of course, you're welcome to ask that directly of your vet and just make sure that they're comfortable. Of course, they wouldn't use the company if they weren't, but get the company's name and call them yourself if that would give you more assurance. But I would trust that they're doing right by your dog.
Okay.
My condolences.
Yeah, thanks for the question there, Rod. Okay, here's one from Monique. Hello, all. My dog Rufus got a hold of a northern shrew. He was unable to stand up, but seems to be okay now. We did call poison control. Any thoughts?
I'm not sure what northern shrew. So a bird. I don't know why that would affect the dog. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. If it had some type of relay poisoning.
Rodent.
Or yeah, a little rodent. It might have been a relay type of thing where if something was on or in the shrew, it affected your dog. I mean, obviously, if it's still acting abnormal, I would have it seen. But if everything seems okay now and poison control said it was fine, I don't have any specific concerns about the northern shrew. It just it's odd to me that that would happen. But yeah, I'll have to qualify with anything like this. You know, it is always best if you have concerns to seek care from your local veterinarian. But I'm glad you called poison control. So if they didn't worry or have any concerns for you, I imagine everything's going to be okay. Again, just take that with a grain of salt. Me not having examined your dog or knowing why it happened to begin with.
Cool. All right. Thanks for the question, Monique. Moving on, let's see what we have here. Okay, this is from Cat Whiskers, Meredith. And Cat Whiskers says, says, my 11-year-old female cat has a couple of fluid sacs on her belly. If it is cancer, I can't afford treatment. She acts okay, but what is the most humane way to proceed? This happened to my last female cat too. When the sacs burst, I took her to the vet and she had to be put down. She was 18.
18.
So again, a couple of fluid sacs on the belly of her 11-year-old female cat.
Okay. I'm jumping a little bit to a conclusion here, but it doesn't say that the cat is spayed. If that is the case, if she's not spayed, then the chance is, or the likelihood is that it could be something with the mammary glands. Mammary cancers, or not always cancer, sometimes it's benign versus malignant, but that is much more prevalent in a non-spayed cat than one that has been spayed very young. Of course, I have to recommend having them evaluated just because they could be other things as well. Sometimes they do get benign cysts that aren't related to the mammary tissue, which would be a wonderful, actually. That's something that would be a fairly good prognosis. If they're not bothering her and you wouldn't pursue surgery or pursue that aggressive type of treatment, if it was something more serious, then I think you could see what happens with them. But if it is something in the mammary gland, there certainly is a chance of them growing, potentially spreading or starting to cause discomfort. So at that point, then it does become a quality of life issue. But even just having them examined so the vet can tell you what it might be and give you kind of a expectation or guidance as to treatment options, or if it is something benign that they feel can be watched and not worried about, then it eases some of your concern. I hope it's nothing, but the location does worry me that it's something with the mammary glands.
There you have it. Okay, thanks for the question. We appreciate it. It is just about 7:00 now, so I'm just going to buy a couple of minutes here. Yeah. Welcome to the first show with a good Dr. Lockwood, a real live veterinarian.
Warren. Thank you, Warren.
Hey, Warren is here.
We're going to have some babka eventually.
Yeah, there's the man of the hour. Awesome. So anyway, this is, I'm assuming, going to turn into a series. People have been asking for this for a while now. And so I went on live a couple nights ago and fielded a ton of questions from you folks. So we're going over that now. I will probably answer a couple of questions in real time too. We'll see how long we can do this tonight.
Yeah. It's not going to be 3 hours.
Yeah. But the idea is this will be some sort of a regular segment at some point too. Oh, okay. You want this one from Hannah Webb?
Sure.
So anyway, so how you doing tonight? Oh, and Warren, we'll show off the babka is here.
Can't wait, Warren.
Look at that. From the famous Cat's Delicatessen in New York, New York. Awesome. Okay, Hannah Webb, how you doing, Hannah? Asked, about how long will it take the growth plates on a puppy the size of a Sheltie take to close and mature? I like to make sure that has happened on a bitch before I have it spayed.
Yep. So there's a couple topics in there, because the reason that you're thinking about waiting or for the spay is because there's studies that show spaying earlier in life before the growth plates have closed can cause growth issues. Neutering as well, neutering too young, having issues with the growth of the dog. I, I'm not 100% sold on those studies, but they are out there. So a lot of people do ask that question: when should I have this done? Honestly, it's variable. There's not a exact date or time at which the growth plates close. It's the larger a dog, the later it is. So for a giant breed like Bub, usually it's 18 months plus that we might say to wait on a spay or neuter. A Sheltie probably 8 to 10 months, I would think, if it's the average, say like a medium or small Sheltie. One last thing I'll say on that though, as far as waiting on a spay. So I had just mentioned actually the last question about potential mammary issues or growths in the mammary region in a cat. That increased risk of mammary cancer exists in dogs as well. So if you do decide to wait until after their first heat cycle, it does increase that risk. I can't give percentages, but it goes from very, very small risk to a slightly higher risk when they're spayed after their first heat, that they'll eventually get mammary problems down the line. So that's a little bit of a balancing act where you have to decide, should we spay before and eliminate the risk of mammary issues, or can we wait a little bit and potentially decrease growth plate problems or issues in that regard? I don't think there's a right or wrong or exact correct answer. Everyone has an opinion on that, but I think you're fine, in a Sheltie to do it at a younger age. They aren't going to be a giant breed where growth plate issues could be a problem. So I'd lean more towards spaying before the first heat just for that reason. In a giant breed, I might wait a little bit longer just because they do have more growth to still accomplish. I will also say spaying a 150-pound dog versus a 50-pound dog is definitely more challenging, but I could see the reason to wait in a giant breed. I hope that answers your question.
It's a full answer.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm not up on the exact ages where growth plates close. I apologize. I didn't retain a lot of that information leaving school.
Yeah.
But a smaller breed, I think you're fine to spay at a little bit younger age.
Beautiful. Okay, thanks for the question. All right, next is from Donna Detman, who asks, we have a cat 8 years old with asthma. They have an inhaler. They changed their litter, and it's not allowed on the screen porch. They live in Florida.
Yeah.
The pollen's bad. They have air cleaners, but he's still coughing. So what else can we do? What are we missing?
Okay. So cats and asthma, just a general primer or information for those who are curious, or not the question asker, because obviously they had this diagnosed in their cat, but cats certainly can get asthma, dogs as well. Just like in people, it's basically an inflammatory reaction in the lungs. It more commonly causes a cough than an attack, like a person that would have an asthma attack. That can happen as well, but it's more common that it would cause a cough. I'm hoping that your vet, diagnostic wise, at least took a chest x-ray to diagnose it. That usually would be kind of the minimum information that, along with the history of coughing and listening to the chest. They might have run some blood work too, but I'm hoping at least a chest x-ray verified it. Inhaler is great. So the treatment usually requires some type of anti-inflammatory medication because you need to calm down that reaction that's happening in the lungs. So prednisone, which is a steroidal anti-inflammatory, is the usual treatment choice or number one treatment modality. It can definitely have side effects. So asthma tends to be a chronic condition unless you can find the underlying cause of it. it tends to be a chronic one that we manage rather than cure. So if they're going to have to be on a steroid continually, an inhaled form of it is much safer than a systemic form. So it can also be given orally, of course, and then injectably as well. So the inhaler, it's most likely Flovent, which is a steroidal inhaler, same as people with asthma. You can also use, airway dilators. I can't think of the term for it, but there's other options that just usually an anti-inflammatory is needed. So great that you're able to do that. The other changes that you made, the litter, definitely using the lowest dust form of litter. Usually that's pellet or anything that's not the like sandy type of litter that creates a lot of dust. So that's great.
Air cleaners.
Air cleaners, yeah, definitely an air purifier. It brings a lot of the dust and that out of the environment. No smoking in the house. You don't mention being a smoker, but smoke can certainly inflame or trigger asthma in cats and dogs. So you're doing everything great. My other suggestions, pollen being bad. I mean, that's where the air purifier would help. Additional diagnostics, if there's any question about the diagnosis, which doesn't sound like it. It sounds like the vet was pretty certain, but if there's additional diagnostics to run to see if there's anything else going on, it would be something like a bronchoalveolar lavage, it's called. I don't want to get too technical, but with that, they're actually getting some sample down from the airway by flushing fluid in and then drawing it back out. That is a confirmatory test. Again, if there's any question about the diagnosis, that's something that can be helpful. But again, I think you're doing all you can. If you did have to go to a systemic form of steroid, that may be the only other way to really get it under control. And I hope not, because of the side effects of systemic prednisone. It increases their risk of diabetes. It definitely has negatives to it. So if the cat is comfortable and just coughs, maybe it's, once a week or so, pretty infrequent, I'd say stay with what you're doing. But if it is causing quality of life issues, really frequent, affecting their energy level, et cetera, then I guess a systemic form of steroid, because you're doing really everything else you can, it sounds like.
Beautiful. How you doing so
I hope
far?
I don't go on too long on these things. Tell me if I'm
No, you watch these
rambling.
net shows?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
People want explanation.
I know, but I can go on for a bit.
Okay, well, people are really happy so
Good,
far.
good.
Let's see. I have some questions up top. Do you want to do another live one, Mare?
Sure.
Chuck Hepner, Chuck, he's always in here. How can I convince my male cat that I really don't need, but truly appreciate the gifted dead mice, which he brings into the house and leaves by my bed?
Oh, I wish I could give you an inspirational quote, Chuck, but unfortunately, that is a cat behavior. They are predators, and they like to display their catch. So other than not letting him out, not letting him hunt, he's going to want to show you that. So sorry.
What a good kitty.
I know, it's terrible. Is it worse when they're alive still? That might be worse, but that is definitely, I don't think you're going to stop that one.
No. Oh, well, we tried. Let's see. How about this one from Anna? Are there cat meds for those who may have cardiomyopathy and occasionally symptomatic, not feeling well, poor energy at times?
Okay. Cats can certainly get heart conditions. The most common, it's a long one. It's called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, HCM. And it just means that the heart muscle is thicker than it should be. And it's an insidious type of illness because vets always say cats don't like to tell you when they're sick. They'll hide it until they're really not doing well. So you could have a perfectly well cat, no symptoms whatsoever, and then they really feel bad very quickly. And unfortunately, there really isn't a medication to slow it down or to stop the HCM from happening. Once there are symptoms, certainly They can go on different medications to help control depending on what the symptom is. But there's not really a preventive. If he is lethargic, though, what did the question say? They were lethargic or starting to
low
lose
energy.
low energy. Then maybe they are starting to have some secondary effects from it. And in that case, if there's fluid starting to build up in the lungs, there's diuretics they could take. So potentially there would be things to help with the side effects of the heart disease, but not necessarily the heart itself. That's a little different than in dogs. Dogs, there are medications that can be used proactively, but in cats, there's just not a general agreement that they really work. And because it's often so stressful to give medications to cats, I tend not to do anything until they're truly symptomatic.
There you have it. Beautiful. Okay. Well, Giselle's in the room. She asked a question the other night, so it's in our paper somewhere. And she asked, she says, my dog used to bark in his sleep. Was she dreaming?
Yes.
Do dogs dream?
Definitely. I know, obviously we can't, they can't tell us about it in the morning, but every dog I've ever had, and certainly Corey can verify this with Bubba and our last couple dogs as well. They dream. They're, sound asleep, kicking their feet, vocalizing like they're excited and chasing something, twitching, all of it. So I always say they're chasing rabbits, or, they're chasing something. They're having that dream of running after something. So yes, I very much believe that dreams happen in dogs. If you want to, I guess the one potential bad thing it could be is a seizure, but it's usually fairly obvious if they're fast asleep and they start to do that twitching and kicking and vocalizing. You can wake them up. Verify. It stops when you wake them up. A seizure wouldn't stop because they're not asleep. They're actually in a neurologic state. So that's the one potentially not so good thing it could be. But yes, dogs do dream, and the barking in the sleep, they're thinking about something fun.
Yeah, and Bubba dreams hard.
Oh yeah.
Like
he usually kicks me.
Yeah, he's running laps. He kicks hard. He'd kick you out of bed. I mean, he's done that several times.
Yeah. So Crafty Lady, you said you just call his name to wake him up. Bubba will sleep between Corey and I. He's usually got his back to Corey and his feet are to me, and he kicks me when he dreams. So yes, I will wake him up, because you can imagine he kicks pretty hard. So
150,
yeah,
60
just
pounds.
wake him up. If you're worried, if it seems like it's a really violent dream, just wake them up.
Yeah. And I mean, and Bubba does this several times a night, and during the day too, if he's out cold.
Yeah.
So pretty crazy.
And then I see CM's comment, that cat stream too. You guys are gonna laugh. I've actually never had a cat.
Why not?
I know. I grew
Why
up.
not, Mary?
My dad was very allergic. Didn't grow up with cats. Not that I wouldn't have one, but the dogs that we've had are not fans of cats either. So yeah, we've never had a cat actually as owners of, or in our household. So thank you, CM, for saying that they do. I can't say that I've ever seen it, but I bet they're a little less violent than dogs when they're dreaming.
Yeah. Ellen, we have a California king bed, and it doesn't matter, because I end up sleeping half my body's on the nightstand, and then I have to get up in the middle of the night because Meatball likes to go wild around 4 a.m. But if he wants in, you can't stop him.
Yeah.
He comes in and just does a nesty plunge on you.
And no offense, but if I choose between having Corey in the bed or Bubba,
we're well aware of that.
I'd keep Bubba.
Yeah.
He's a nice snuggler. He keeps me warm in the winter.
Yeah, it was about 200 degrees.
Corey doesn't like to snuggle.
Oh, yeah, right. All right. So the next question. So Maria, how are you doing? Maria, you want this question, or you want the one that I have from you here, which is Meredith. Maria asks, what can I do to help my dog who is scooting?
Okay.
Dragging his behind on the floor.
Oh, the fun.
The
we should definitely do this talk before we eat the babka. As far as your question in the chat though, Maria, I have not heard of dogs having apnea. I suppose if they're obese, maybe that could affect their airway, and if they're in a deep sleep, close it off. Narcolepsy does exist in dogs, but I've never heard of apnea. So as far as scooting, everyone's probably seen it, the dog that sits their bum down and scoots along the ground. The most common reason for that would be an anal gland issue. which we'll get into in a minute. So the other possible reasons, certainly intestinal parasites can cause that as well. Less common, but an itchy feeling back there from intestinal parasites could cause that. And then just allergies or general itchiness could cause it as well. So there are other causes, but usually it's the anal glands, which are two little sacs that sit just inside the opening. Do we want to have this discussion?
Jesus.
And they contain a fluid, and sometimes that fluid gets a little thicker. Maybe it's not coming out like it should. It usually comes out when they poop. Never go to dinner with a group of vets. We'll just talk about this stuff the whole time.
This is nothing like the Prince of Pentacles, folks.
Oh, seriously. So they're scooting usually to try to help that along. The glands can get impacted and then infected as well. So if they're really heavily scooting and licking back there, and maybe you're starting to notice the skin getting red, definitely get them in. If it's just that they scoot every so often, they're just clearing the glands out. That can be done at a groomer. Most groomers can do that as well. And then, of course, the vet's office can express their anal glands, is what it's called.
God.
Well, the question was asked. They do exist in cats as well, but it's much more common in dogs.
Do you see why we're not eating tonight, folks?
There are sometimes adding fiber to the diet can help with that. Theory-wise, creating a larger stool, maybe pushing on the glands a little bit more. Again, we're not eating yet. Hopefully you guys aren't. So maybe adding fiber to the diet, but if it's just every so often, I would consider normal if it's pretty infrequent. But fiber, having them expressed if needed, those are your solutions.
Yeah, I'd keep a fire hose nearby and just blast them from a distance.
Well, yeah. The smell is,
it's brutal.
Yeah.
It's like bad fish.
Oh, should we do a funny story now that we've talked about that?
Good.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember.
So Bubba does not like the car. Before we really knew this about him, we decided that we were going to have a family fun day and take the dogs. We had a second dog at the time named Bella. We were going to take them for a drive. So we take them a nice drive.
One dog loved the car.
Yeah, Bella loved
One
the car.
dog hates the car.
Corey went into the pet shop actually because we needed some food and treats. So when Corey went inside, Bubba jumped into the passenger seat, or driver's seat. I was in the passenger seat, and expressed his anal glands on the driver's seat. So
what was that? A show of defiance?
He was stressed. He didn't like it. And yeah, he was probably mad that we made him go in the car. So that was really bad. The car stunk for quite a while. I don't think that was actually, maybe that wasn't a funny story after all.
No, it was horrible.
Anyway,
the horrible part was having to sit in a towel, like 3 towels on the drive home.
Yeah. So then we knew that Bubba does not go on the car rides.
He hates it.
In fact, if we're leaving and we want him to, not go towards the door, all we have to do is shake our car keys and he runs the other way. He hates the car.
He hates it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we learned a lot about him in the first couple of years.
Yeah, as soon as you jingle your car keys and you say, want to go for a ride, he literally gets up and he jumps to the couch and lays down. He wants no part of it.
And that's good, Maria. Just take him in. Maria said she plans to take him to the vet. Just have him checked. Mention it that the scooting happens, especially if it's frequent. Frequent, I would say more than once a week. And they can just check and let you know. And then I would maybe bring a poop sample with you, just in case they want to check from the dog.
We just do that in a Ziploc, bring it in.
Yeah, just put it in a container from the dog and see if they might want to check for intestinal parasites too. All right, non-yucky topic.
No, not yet. We have to have one more yucky.
No, I know. Oh,
okay. This is from Marby. Hi, Marby. Good to see you. My baby Alice has something in her nose, and it's runny and bleeding. What do we do?
Oh gosh, I don't know if Alice is a cat or a dog.
Yeah, let us know, Marby. More detail.
The bleeding worries me. If it was just a foreign body, like they inhaled something, usually that would cause sneezing. Like they'll want to try to sneeze it out. Maybe they'll paw at their face. But the bleeding does worry me a little bit, that either it's something that's really stuck and causing a lot of problems, or that maybe it's not something they inhaled. Maybe it's something that's like an infected tooth or something that's growing in the nose. So I definitely would get them seen. It's hard if it's a cat, looking into the nose from the front on a cat, it's really impossible. Their nostrils are too small. Dogs, especially the larger dogs, sometimes you can give them a little sedative and look in there uh, from through the nostril. And hopefully it's just something that has to be grabbed and removed. But I definitely would have that checked out. If the bleeding is like dripping or a lot, temporarily to stop it, just like us when we have a nosebleed, just tilt the head back and just, catch the blood with a Kleenex, or if they let you, put a little cotton swab or something in there just to help with the bleeding. But yeah, that I would get them in as soon as, not an emergency unless it's voluminous blood, but just get them in when you can.
Okay, there you have it. Quick question. Mary Johnson asked, what is a home remedy for getting rid of fleas? Does that even exist? We've been lucky with
Well,
dogs and not having fleas.
it's a good topic. Depending on where you are. Yeah, I don't see a ton of flea problems in this area at all, really. When we lived in LA, oh, awful
Yeah.
fleas. Yeah. And it's the opposite. Here we have a ton of ticks, and there we didn't. So kind of traded issues. Home remedy wise.
What do you think with all the sand around here? There'd be more fleas?
Yeah, I think that the seasons, they go dormant for so long versus LA. It was year round.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
so warm. But home remedy wise, the issue with fleas, don't let me ramble on this, but the issue
you're
with
fine.
fleas is that if you see one live flea, that means there's, many, many more that are there either in larva or egg form, and they're waiting to come out. So say you see one on your dog or your cat, you give it a bath, you're going to get the fleas that are on them, but you're not getting the ones that are still, waiting to hatch, or the next time they go out in the yard or wherever they got them, they're going to get more. So you do have to use something that has some longevity to it. It can take, really, to eradicate fleas life cycle wise, it takes a few months. So the vet prescription types of treatments would be, most of them now are oral. It used to be topicals, but there's a lot of really good oral products now. The topicals do still have their place. They work. You can find a lot of them over the counter now. So your front lines, your advantages, those you can get at the pet store or ordering online. I like, there's a collar, and the name of it is, oh gosh, darn it. I'll think of it at some point. A collar they can wear that lasts for 9 months, and very safe, works very well. I cannot believe can't think of the name of it. But it does take some form of medication, not necessarily prescription, to, I think, really, if you have an issue, really control and get rid of them. Oh my goodness, this is going to bother me.
I remember when my dog was a kid, had a flea collar on.
Yeah, and the old generation collars really didn't work very much.
Smelled. Yeah.
This one, it's, you're going to hear me yell it out at some
Sorrento?
point. Seresto. Who said that?
Seresto.
Oh, thank you. Yes, Seresto.
Seresto LB.
Thank you, LB.
That's Lori.
I get brain blocks sometimes, so thank you, Seresto. Very safe. I'm sure there's been different reports in the news. Seresto collars kill dogs. Bravecto kills dogs. That I hear these headlines every so often, and there can be side effects of these products. They're really extremely rare. Of course, we don't want to use something that is going to cause an issue for your pet, but the good these things do for the 99% of dogs that don't have side effects, you do have to weigh it. The sensationalistic headlines, it's a little bit overblown. These are safe products. Bubba takes Simparica Trio, which is a monthly tablet that is flea, tick, and heartworm. I wouldn't give it to him if I thought it was unsafe. So I know that's not really answering for home remedies. There's some over-the-counter types of options in there, but you can't really just treat once and expect fleas to go away.
Nice.
I want to see, actually, what do people use that they've had good luck with? Orange Guard. Okay, so that would be a Orange Guard from CM. That would be something that you sprayed in the environment. Which, yes, actually, we started doing that too. We were having quite a bit of tick problems, a lot of mosquitoes in our yard. We do get the yard sprayed, and that's helped tremendously. So yes, environmental treatment, very important. And actually, on that note, if you do have fleas that are in the house, frequent vacuuming of the surfaces where the animals spend most of their time, sofas, carpets, if they sleep there, washing their dog beds, washing any bedding that you can through hot cycles repeatedly, multiple times a week, until they're eradicated. Because not to gross people out, but if you're seeing one live flea on your pet, there's more that are just waiting to hatch and turn into that adult. So the vacuuming and the washing is trying to get them at that stage and remove them from the environment before they can.
Very nice. Okay, cool. We have this from Kelly Mack. Then I have one from Amanda Engels in a second. So Kelly says, I have a very intelligent 13-week-old female golden retriever puppy. She was my first puppy. I have 4 human pups. So she pees a lot. How much peeing is too much peeing?
So it's a puppy.
Yep.
I assume that she's drinking a ton as well. Puppies do drink a lot more than you would think, comparing them to, say an adult of the same size or a adult dog, especially in hot weather. Of course, when dogs are panting because of heat, they're losing a lot of moisture through that panting. So they're going to drink more, and that will translate into more urination. There are certainly medical conditions that would cause a dog to drink an excess and then have to urinate an excess as well. These are uncommon things. So I'm not suggesting that your dog has one of those problems. It most likely is just summer.
Yeah, I think Kelly Mack said yes to she drinks a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's probably normal. At the same time, you can, of course, have them evaluated. If someone mentioned that to me as a concern, I would just do a urinalysis, analyze the urine for any signs of infection, or, if it does give you any indication that there's an issue. But a 13-week-old, I think she said it was.
I think it was 13. I'll look it up quick.
Yeah, that the chance of it being something bad is minimal. You don't want to withhold water from her, because if there is an underlying cause or a drive to drink more water and you withhold it, then dehydration can happen. So, don't withhold water, but there's certainly having the urine tested can help tell you if there's something more going on.
Good. Nice. Okay. Now this next question comes from Amanda Engels, who was in our live chat the other night. My dog, Jack, who is half Chihuahua, 20% Chow, and 4 other small breeds, who's a beauty. He has something bothering his eye. He's been wiping at it with his paw. I have some drops from when he had an eye infection last year, decided to use them. Is that okay? I do have half my yard full of a variety of weeds, and we were traveling recently. I'll take him to the vet if this persists.
Okay. And I want to I'll come back to that, Amanda. I wanted to address, I saw Ellen G. Sorry to hear about your cat. I hope I wasn't being flippant when I said that, there are some potential serious side effects. They can happen. There's a cause and effect to that. It can often be difficult to actually prove. So if you put something on them or started a medication, and then within a short period of time, something very negative happens, that doesn't necessarily mean that the thing you did caused the failure. There definitely seems to be a temporal relation with your cat. So I'm sorry to hear that. I do think there's certainly investigation that has to happen with these products, and it has. These are all tested, and they're allowed to be used. I hate hearing those stories. It really is sad when a collar was put on and then something negative happens within a few months. I am sorry to hear that. So I don't want to minimize the potential negatives. And if you want to lean more towards homeopathic treatments, that is certainly, I understand. I believe in the safety of the products, but actually I will say one of our dogs did have a bad reaction to a topical that we used. And, I do understand that the negatives are there. So my condolences on your cat.
But generally speaking.
Yeah, I do find them very safe. I do hate to hear these firsthand reports. It is very sad when that happens.
Yeah. Okay.
Amanda, sorry, I'm going to read your question again. So the eye,
Falling
the
at the eye.
drops, right? No, I got it. So the drops, as far as reusing medications that you have left over from before, the bottles of eye meds that we send home, often, if you're just doing it for a week, there may be left over in the bottle. So I think you're probably fine. But the one thing I would just check, anyone that is thinking about, I have an eye medication, I want to use it. If the medication has a steroid in it. So if it's just antibiotic, there's really not a negative other than, of course, we don't want to overuse antibiotics or just indiscriminately use them without a cause, but that won't hurt the eye. If there's a steroid in it, then if there happens to be a scratch or something that got on the eye that caused damage to the surface of the cornea, there is a chance that the steroid could make that worse. So be cautious if there's a steroid. So something like a dexamethasone or Pred, anything that is not an antibiotic, and it usually should give you an indication on the packaging. If it says triple antibiotic, nothing at the end that is a steroid. If you have a medication with a steroid in it, don't use that without checking with your vet first. They probably would want to do what's called a fluorescein stain. We put a little drop onto the eye that highlights any scratches or any trauma to the cornea. And the treatment for that's just different. It's still treatable, but it's just, you can't use medication with steroid in it. If it's an allergy, say something's just bothering the eye or something got into it, and like when you get something in your eye, it's annoying and your eye might water or crust for a day or two, then yes, antibiotic drops or ointment can be very helpful, as could just flushing the eye out. Sometimes they just need a good flush with saline like you would use to clean your contact lenses. Sometimes even allergy wise, you can use like a Visine or Visine A. Those medications are safe to put on a dog's eye without really a lot of concern. Not wanting to open the eye at all, so the eye being completely closed, really painful, then that they should be seen before you do anything else. But if it's just a little watery, a little itchy, certainly, as long as your medication doesn't have a steroid in it, go ahead and use that. And then if it's not better in a day or two, definitely I would get them in. I think
you got it.
Oh, and then as far as the traveling, I don't know if traveling has anything to do with it.
I've had his head out the window.
Oh, right. Oh,
for the
well,
drive.
yeah.
That's
Okay. All right. So that you do have to be careful with. Bubba did that when I took him to his training classes. He put his head out the window. That can be dangerous. I know dogs love it, but yeah, they do make goggles they're goggles that you can put on them if you can keep them on.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I like them when they're in sidecars on motorcycles. That's
fun. Be safe about it. I know dogs love to have their head out the window, but yes, something could certainly get in the eye and cause a problem. And then allergies, anything pollinating or weeds or that can bother their eyes just like they do with us.
Cool. Okay, well, if you're just tuning in, I'm Corey, and this is the Good Dr. Lockwood in our first show answering your pet care questions. We've been on for a little less than an hour, but we did have to give props to our buddy Warren Green, who sent us this chocolate babka from Cat's Delicatessen. It's the famous delicatessen from When Harry Met Sally. That one right there. Look at that thing. So you've been good so far. So I'm gonna hand off a piece of this to you, okay?
Do you think I'm getting hungry?
Well, and hope you got a drink of water in there or whatever the heck you drink.
Thank you, dear.
So there is that. So Warren, thanks so much.
You have to tell me if I have chocolate in my teeth.
Here's the name of the place. Cat's Delicatessen, the chocolate babka. It smells delicious. Now, we didn't warm this up or anything. This is right out of the package. And Warren sent us a whole bunch of goodies from the deli. And then Annette and I will be sharing those Wednesday night for our next show, 6:30 Eastern time, right here at Bridge headquarters. That should be taking place again. And which means I'll probably do a live video Tuesday evening to get your questions for Annette. But I'll post that in the community tab. I just bank on that come Tuesday evening. How was it?
Good.
Really good, right? So, and we're not to bother people, but people do send us food to eat and try in front. So Warren, thanks for this.
Oh, it's gooey too. I love it. Can you scroll back up for a second? I saw someone comment about flea and tick collars
That is good.
their collies and shelties. Okay. So I'm going to finish chewing and then I'll talk about what Hannah said.
So should I repeat?
Go ahead.
So Hannah mentions flea and tick collars are a no-no for collies and shelties too. I use the flea and tick spray from Mercola on my sheltie and me when we are going for a walk in the woods and in her bedding.
And yes, I'm glad you brought that up. Hannah, shelties and collies, they have a sensitivity to ivermectin, which yes, some of those collars do contain ivermectin and some of the oral heartworm preventions do as well. So definitely with any of these products, if you have any concern whatsoever, of course, ask your vet if it's safe to use for your particular pet. There is a test that can be done to see if your particular Sheltie or Collie has that genetic sensitivity. I believe it's through Washington State. There's a genetic mutation that they can test for that says whether they'll have that sensitivity or not. But yes, anyone that has that type of breed, Collie, Sheltie, Australian Shepherd sometimes too, products with ivermectin, be very safe and talk to your vet first when you use products with them. It can be very dangerous. So thank you for saying that.
Lots of nice compliments in here. Anita, Corey, your wife is a gem. Elena, thanks you so much for doing the show. Meredith and Corey.
Thanks,
Giselle,
everyone.
Babka looks awesome. It's awesome,
It's very
by the
good.
way.
Yes. Thank you, Warren.
It's fantastic.
We need to go to New York at some time.
My God. Yeah, he can show us around.
Yeah.
Hi, Beggar Jean. Welcome. Maria, Dr. Meredith, thank you so much for your assistance in answering our questions.
Oh, you're welcome, Maria.
Hannah, Corey, you and Meredith should do
Thank
this
you,
at
Maria.
least twice a month. I get up. Oh, Maria. Oh, and the tip jar. That's nice.
Wow, Erica.
No, thank you. Yeah, I think this would be a good idea for a show. Okay, and Erica, how are you tonight? Good to see you. I have a pure border collie. She's 27. I have papers to prove it. Born in June 1995. What's allowing her to live so long? How do I feed her at this stage in her life? She eats everything and anything. 27?
Honestly, Erica, I think just continue doing what you're doing.
Call Guinness.
Yeah. If she eats everything and anything and she's 27, let her keep doing it.
27? Is that
It's almost as old as me, honey.
Dog years, right? 27? Is that, have you heard of that before?
That might be a record. Yeah, that might be a record. I mean, we'll see toy breeds that live to their late teens. Thank you, Hannah. Yes. MRD one. Yeah, I think that's right.
This is good.
But yes, Washington State. Thank you for confirming. But yeah, Erica, keep doing what you're doing. Something's going right.
27. You gotta be kidding me. Oh, Meredith is a YouTube natural. Yep.
Oh,
Don't let it get you ahead.
Thank you.
Don't let it get you ahead, Lockwood.
It's a little stressful for me. I'm not quite as used to this as Corey. I usually hide from the camera. So thank you.
Yeah, people are loving the show. Just help spread the word, folks. Do what you have to do and let's make this a regular thing. You want to behave your go ahead.
Well, LB asked this question. I know it's on your list.
All right, so
do you want to just answer it here? So go ahead.
LB asks or says, do mats and a cat's fur hurt before they grow out and fall off? My part Maine Coon only lets me comb him when he eats so hard to stay on top of this. He weighs 25 pounds.
It's a big Maine Coon. I love Maine Coons. Have you seen one before? They're
I
large.
have.
Hi, Bubba.
Maureen had one.
They're the Bubba of cats. They're large, and they usually do have long fur, long coats.
You're not getting this. He wants Babka.
I know. No. Go away, bub. He also wants attention. So mats, I don't think in and of themselves hurt. Combing them out certainly can be difficult. When they start to hurt is when they get right down to the skin. So if they're right against the body, really by that time, the best thing is a shave. But I wouldn't perceive them as hurting. It's just what's required to get rid of them could be uncomfortable. So combing is definitely
Get out of here.
the best approach.
Hey.
Just like a woman, long hair, you got to brush your hair regularly. Yeah, he really wants the babka, to keep it from knotting. So it would be really daily brushing if you can. If that's just not feasible, then there are kind of these little, they look like a hair pick almost that you can use to try to remove the mats. It's just, that's not any easier than brushing. It's actually probably more difficult than brushing. The last, option, if they do get really bad, don't be mean. Oh, that's so mean. Would be a shave down. So it's called a lion cut.
Don't do that.
Corey, you're
He's
teasing
putting all the
him.
pressure on me.
You're distracting me, dear. It's called a lion cut, where if they're really they are getting heavily matted to the point where it's hard to brush out. Just doing a shave. Usually we leave the head, so they have the mane and the hair in front, and then you leave the tail and the legs. I think it's adorable, to be honest, but most cats do need some form of sedation for that, which is why we'll do those at the animal hospital. If they don't need sedation, then groomers can do that, but sometimes a trim is necessary for those long-haired cats if they get matted.
Yeah, Bubba's fine. Damon, trust me, he eats enough during the day. So a little tease, and he teases me during the day too.
I know, but
okay. Hey, Sylvia from New York. This is Colorful Foresight says, I know with dogs that there are hypoallergic breeds, right?
Yeah.
Is there the same for cats? Because she's allergic to cats.
I wouldn't believe it. There's the hairless cats, like a Sphinx, that wouldn't shed because they don't have fur. That might be a little bit less allergenic, but they'll still have dander. So I don't know that I would trust it, or, I don't think that would be a marketing ploy. More than anything, if someone did say that their cat was hypoallergenic, but that's probably your closest bet would be a hairless or a Sphinx. As far as Lena asked, what is a dog breed that does not shed and is hypoallergenic? I'm sure everyone's heard of all the poodle mixes. So the golden doodle, labradoodle, it goes on and on, bernedoodle. Poodles are low shedders. They have that curly short coat, so they don't shed as much as a longer haired dog or a wiry haired dog like a lab would. So that's why, as far as designer breeds go, poodle is often in the mix. So those are, and I do believe that those are less allergenic. I don't think you can truly call any dog hypoallergenic, but something mixed with a poodle, usually you're pretty safe. One of the dogs that we adopted was from friends of ours who the wife was highly allergic to dogs. Mm-hmm. So we got a lovely, lovely chocolate lab named Jack that we had for several years to take care of because they couldn't keep him. And she finally agreed to adopt another dog. They have a cute little golden doodle, and she does not find herself very allergic to him, although she does still take antihistamines.
She was definitely allergic.
Oh yeah, extremely allergic to the chocolate lab, minimally allergic to the golden doodle, who is her best friend, she says now. So
that's her baby.
Yeah, so something with a poodle mixed would be probably your best bet. It's not weird, it's cute. She loves him.
It is. Cool. Okay, thanks for the question. Giselle had another follow-up on the subject because I was teasing Bubba with a chocolate. What other foods are dangerous to dogs?
Yeah, most people know chocolate. With chocolate too, it's very dose dependent, and that is determined by the size of the dog and the type of the chocolate as well. So tip that would help your vet if this ever happens with one of your dogs and you want to know if they're going to be okay. What type of chocolate is it? How much did they eat, and what they weigh? The bigger the dog, the less toxicity they'll have, or the more they'll have to eat for it to reach a toxic dose. Baker's chocolate is much more toxic than, say, like a milk chocolate, just because of the amount of what? Cacao or what?
Cacao.
Yeah, cacao that's in it. So just an idea of how much they might have eaten and what size they are and what type of chocolate it is. It's very helpful. if you call in, if you have all that information at the ready. And a poodle that eats a sliver of baker's chocolate is, as dangerous as if Bubba ate that entire babka.
Oh, really?
So you just
So
have to be
when you
careful.
see problems, is it usually like a dog gets into like Halloween candy?
Right. Say a dog eats like a chocolate cupcake or something like that, where it's not
The
a
way you eat it,
dense-
or
oh, stop it. It's not a necessarily, a dense chocolate. Probably not going to be a problem other than an upset stomach. The toxicity happens when they ingest a concentrated form or they're a really small dog and eat a large amount. So as far as other foods, grapes and raisins, those can affect the kidneys.
onions, I've heard.
Onions and garlic, same. The onions can affect their red cells. Those, it's actually quite strange because it's not like a straight scale. I've heard of cases where a dog ate one grape and had an issue, and then in other cases, a dog ate a bunch of grapes and there were no problems. So I can't give you an exact amount, but certainly I wouldn't be too worried if you drop one grape on the floor. I don't think you have to rush your dog to the vet, but I definitely don't encourage that. And then, gosh, plant wise, I mean, we could get into a long list of things, but foods, it's onions, garlic,
Chocolate grapes,
raisins. Those are the big ones. I see someone in the chat that asked about xylitol. Yes, xylitol, bad news. That's in most, not most, but you'll find it in gums most commonly. And then I actually heard that some peanut butters are starting to have xylitol in them. So be very careful about that.
What is xylitol?
It's a sugar substitute or a form of,
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a sweetener. Extremely toxic to dogs and not in a treatable way.
Yeah, I've seen it in a lot of chewing gum, like extra and stuff like that.
It affects their body's ability to regulate blood sugar. It's bad. So definitely any xylitol containing gums, if you have them in your house, keep them far away from your dogs where they can't reach them. I know, so, there might just be a case sitting in your purse, and if they get that and eat it, it's not good. So yeah, xylitol is bad. And then someone asked about deli meat, I believe. Turkey, was that? Can you go back up? Turkey.
Hey, Elena,
deli turkey.
What about deli turkey or roast beef?
Should be fine.
Bubba seems okay with it.
Yeah, right. A little sidebar to that. If there's heart issues, the salt content can be a problem. And then with anything, some dogs have dietary sensitivities. So, if there's GI signs from eating them, I would always, if you're going to try something like that, just give a little bit, see if there's a problem. But if there's heart condition, avoid anything that's too salty. And then moderation, of course. I'm sure if another vet watches this show and hears that I just said it was okay to give those things, they wouldn't agree. For me,
the views expressed on this page are not necessarily those of the bridge.
Well, yeah,
this is for entertainment purposes
all
only.
Veterinarians, but if we don't eat, good foods all the time. You eat things that you like because they taste good, not necessarily because they're nutritionally valuable to you. So your dog can have a little bit of turkey meat or deli meat. Don't have that be their main diet. They need other things. They need carbs. They need, a balanced diet. But I certainly don't have a problem with you giving your dog a little bit of deli meat every so often.
Right.
Again, heart disease, watch out. Or just be careful about it.
Cool. Okay, thanks for that. And by the way, Warren has
macadamia. Sorry.
Go ahead.
LB. Macadamia nuts.
Hey, chew your food. Let me talk for a second.
Macadamia nuts can be not safe for dogs.
So Warren has offered to be our tour guide around New York City if we ever go, which is great. He also sent this, a chocolate babka from Cat's Delicatessen, and that makes Warren Green our viewer of the night. We need a bell. Annette, where's your bell? So thanks for that. Annette, no. I keep saying Babka, and I wonder if Bubba thinks I'm talking to him because then he rests his chin on the plate of
He
Babka.
might. Maybe we should call him Babka.
All right, moving on. Here's you're doing great, Mar.
Oh,
So
thank
far,
you.
you hanging in
Yeah.
there?
I know. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth.
Yeah. No, Cat's crazy left. You're a lucky guy, Corey.
He sure is, Cat.
I tell myself every day, Cat.
And night.
CM asks, could you please ask the good doctor? See, I like this. It's catching on already. If she knows which dental cat treats work the best. There are so many to choose from.
Yes, there sure are. So I'm a big fan of Greenies.
Greenies.
They have cat treats and then they have dog treats in different sizes. So for Bubba, it'll be, a few inches, and then the cat treats are just small. So I like the Greenies brand. You can find those online or over the counter. TD, T is in tartar, D diet. That's a prescription food, so that you would probably have to buy through a vet's office, but it is a really kind of dense, fibrous kibble that when they bite down, they're kind of rubbing it along their teeth like a brush. And that does come in feline and dog form. So giving 1 or 2 of those a day. If there's weight issues, got to, factor in the calories on them, but they're pretty low calorie per treat. I like those the best. There is an organization that it's VOHC. So
.org.
Veterinary Oral Health Council, VOHC.org, who has a listing of the treats that they, I guess, have tested or vetted or authorized. I go by that list. And there are a lot of over-the-counter products. They're not
These
just
dental treats.
Yeah. Dental care too. So you can look on their page. They have a cat and a dog list. And they just feel like those do the best job at actually helping with tartar buildup. So yeah, look that up. Bully sticks wise, I don't have a particular brand. Darlene 42.
Hold on.
I'm doing Darlene 42.
That's right. Annette does the same thing. She looks in the live chat and
I
jumps.
watch your shows.
People have to know.
What bully sticks do you recommend? I
was saying Dahlin.
Dahlin?
Like Dahlin 42.
I was thinking
You think that's Dahlin?
Rasmus Dahlin, the hockey player.
That's probably what it is.
Okay. So I honestly, I don't know a particular brand. I just haven't really done bully sticks. So I'm sorry, I don't have a particular brand on that. Actually, the one thing I believe CET. Can you get? I need more of my drink, please. CET is a brand that makes a lot of dental treatments for dogs. They have toothpastes and they have a rawhide chew with an enzyme in it that can help with bacterial load in the mouth and help with gingivitis, etc. But I believe they do have a bully stick, or at least a wrap type of stick. So you could try a CET. I know they have rawhides. I'm not 100% sure if they have bully sticks. But that would be my only experience with bully sticks. I try, Amanda. But now I'm just waiting for Corey. Teeth cleaning chews. So Hannah, Merrick's Fresh Kisses. Okay. If it's Merrick, Merrick has foods as well. Yes, I like those foods, so I'd be okay with that. And then Crafty Lady, as far as rawhides, some dogs don't tolerate them well, and you do have to be a little bit cautious. If they chew the big rawhide down to this size and swallow it, digestibility can be an issue. But yeah, I don't mind rawhides as long as the stomach tolerates them. I will say with Greenies, going back to that brand, way back when they first came out, which is probably, 10, 15 years ago, there were reports of dogs having intestinal obstructions. So the Greenie product was not digesting in their GI tract and it was causing a problem. I have not heard any of those reports lately. We did, I stopped using them for a period of time, but felt like they addressed it well. And that certainly, I have not seen that. So I don't have that concern about them anymore. So I feel very safe recommending them.
You want me to give you a question?
Sure.
Justin's mom. What type of vitamins work best for cats? Curtis is my rescue baby who's 3 years old.
Oh, vitamins. My honest opinion, Justin's mom, is that, if they're fed a really good, nutritionally balanced diet, that you don't probably even need vitamins. It's not that they're going to be bad or problematic, but, a good high quality food would usually cover all those bases. If you wanted to give something just as a supplement, I would look for something that has maybe a fish oil in it that can help with coat health, eyes, kidneys. It's got a lot of benefits. As they get older, sometimes something with glucosamine or that type of product, a little more for dogs than cats, just because that's for joint health, and cats don't, it's not that they don't get arthritis, they just don't get debilitating discomfort from arthritis the way dogs can. But yeah, a good high quality cat food. I don't know that you need a vitamin. If you wanted to, then just look for something balanced, like a multivitamin. And I think something that you can maybe sprinkle on the food's probably the easiest way to give it.
Cool. Good.
Mhm.
Ready for another one?
Sure.
All right. We're almost at the 8 o'clock hour. Here's one from Wendy J. What does cats AIDS or HIV really mean?
Yeah.
Are they working on a cure or a vaccine, or what's going on with that?
So yeah, there is, it's called feline immunodeficiency virus, or FIV. And of course, the human equivalent would be HIV. These viruses do not cross species. Do not worry. If you do have a cat with FIV, they're not going to give it to you, or a dog. It would be to other cats. It is through saliva or direct, it has to get into the bloodstream. So sharing a food bowl, not going to do it. A cat with FIV biting another cat and actually putting the virus into their bloodstream, that's how it's passed on. So it can also be passed maternally. So from the mom into the developing fetuses, and who can then be born with FIV. So it's, in my area at least, very uncommon. We've seen a cat here or there with it. They can live a very healthy life. They will be more prone to infections, or not even will, they can be more prone to infections. So you might be a little bit more proactive. Say they're not feeling well, didn't eat for a day or two, or just seem under the weather. I would encourage you to get them checked out a little bit faster than a cat that's not FIV positive, because they might not have the immune system to react to a virus or something that would be minor in a non-FIV positive cat. So infections can hit them harder. But a very livable condition. I do usually, if there is a cat that has FIV that needs a home, let's say, I would always recommend that they be the only cat in the household, so we're not potentially passing it on to another cat, and that they be indoors only. One, for their safety, because infections could be more problematic for them, and then two, just so they're not biting other cats and maybe passing it on. As far as a virus, that's gosh, I should have studied this. There was a vaccine. There was a vaccine for it. So, maybe 15 years ago, right when I started. So 15 to 18 years ago, let's say, they did come out with a vaccine that I used for a period of time. Actually I stopped using it because the biggest issue with that is it made them test positive. So that's a big problem when if you have a stray cat that comes in and you test them, you didn't know if it was positive because it had FIV or because it had the vaccine. And I think it actually did get taken off the market. don't carry it at my current clinic. It's never even been something that we've discussed or wanted to use. So whether it just got removed from the market for that reason, or it's just not commonly given. But there was a vaccine. If it still has that issue and is on the market, I'd be surprised. I find it to be such an infrequent condition that I don't know that there's a lot of drive to try to make a vaccine for it, a new one, if that one is still available. But yeah, they can live a very, again, healthy life. You do just want to take some precautions.
Nice.
Did I answer everything?
You did. Yeah, good question. Thanks, Wendy J. All right, a couple of quick ones here from the live chat. First, a couple of points. One is Amanda Engels tipped us tonight, which was very sweet. So thank you for that, Amanda. We have great pictures of her dog, Jack, by the way, that I got as well. And Darlin42 is Darlin. She said that my pronunciation was correct. That makes Darlin42 the viewer of the night.
We need a bell.
We do need a bell.
Or we need like Bubba barking or something.
Okay, a couple of quick questions from the live chat. This is from Dorothy Lynn. You can have a bite. Have a bite if you want. I can ramble. Go ahead. Have a bite. It's the 8 o'clock hour now. We're just into our first hour and a half. Yep. Eastern time, that is, folks. And this is the first installment of what promises to be a long running series now with my wife, the good Dr. Lockwood here. This is Meredith, who is a longtime veterinarian answering your questions on pet care. And Meredith's background, Stanford, right? Undergrad, and then grad school at
Harvard is the Stanford of the East, you know?
We've heard this from you. And then, of course, grad school at
University of Illinois.
Illinois, Urbana, right?
Yes, Champaign, Urbana. I'm from Illinois originally. I figured after spending my parents' money at Stanford, I could go to a state school for med school.
There you go. Okay. So, and this is it. So we appreciate all the questions we've gotten tonight. I did a live session a couple nights ago. We'll try to figure out some sort of regular time slot or day we can do this and do questions. We're figuring that out, though. It's tough summertime with vacations and dates moving around, and things happen. So we'll see. But so far, so good. This has been awesome. This is going to be a regular feature on the channel. All right, a couple of fun questions here. Dorothy Lim. We had a lot of questions about this subject the other night too. Yeah. Is it okay to give cats dried food, or do they need wet food too? So dry food and wet food.
I'll try not to go on too long on this one. So my opinion, and this is opinion based in fact and research, I do recommend giving cats a combination of dry and canned food, and that's for cats, especially indoor only cats and male cats. And the reason for that is urinary issues are fairly common in cats, and they can be much more serious in indoor versus outdoor and male versus female. And there's a lot of reasons for that I won't necessarily get into, but the one kind of non-medical approach that has been shown to help decrease urinary issues in those cats is to give them canned food. And the theory is that you're forcing water intake on them in the form of the canned food having a higher moisture content than dry. And in doing so, you're kind of flushing the bladder out, making a more dilute urine, which decreases the chance of the urinary condition happening. So for cats, especially indoor only and especially male, I would 100% recommend a combination of canned and dry food. 50% of the calories from canned, 50% from dry. Dogs, different story. Dogs don't have that predilection to urinary issues. So dogs, honestly, I'm just not a fan of canned food, giving it to my own dog. So I tend to focus more on dry food for dogs. But cats, combination canned and dry. Watch their calorie intake though. The total calorie intake per day should be split amongst those two things, not bundled together. So actually being overweight is another risk factor for those urinary issues. So just keep them at a nice lean body weight.
Proceed with caution. Yeah.
Cool. So good question. As far as brands, I don't push certain brands over others.
Not until they sponsor us.
Well, right. There you go. I know, of course, there's like the, Walmart brand. Yeah, I probably would avoid that mass generic brand, but If it's found at a pet store, usually that's going to be a pretty good brand, what they would put on the shelf at a store versus a grocery or, you know, Walmart, not to discriminate. Um, and then just make sure on the bag that it has AFCO, it meets AFCO standards, which is AAFCO. There's usually a seal or a stamp they'll put on the bag. Just you want it to meet, they just set certain standards for what a cat and dog food should have. Some of my favorite brands, and that's not to say that you have to switch to these if you're feeding something else. But I like, God, why am I having brain spasms
You shouldn't
tonight?
do it.
Wellness, Natural Balance, I think is pretty good. They have a lot of flavors, which can be an issue for cats. Getting them to eat certain foods. Cats can be a little bit finicky. I actually don't have a problem with Fancy Feast. I won't get into that too much, but Fancy Feast I find is actually a pretty good balanced food. Sorry, those are the few that are coming to my head. Someone did also ask about Science Diet, and I think it was maybe for their dog versus cat, but those brands all do have dog and cat formulas. So I don't have a problem with Science Diet. I know there are some vets who don't recommend it, but for me, Hills, which is the company that makes Science Diet, has done a lot of good in the realm of dietary intervention and prescription diets. They've actually very innovative and inventive on some of the foods that they've come out with to treat different medical conditions. And I do trust that brand. So yeah, I think Hills is a nice brand. There's more.
You're
sorry. I'm freezing right now, but there's others.
What should canned cat food be grain free?
No. So are people getting bored of this topic? Do you want to scroll down and see?
No, I got texted that question because someone's watching the show and texted me.
Okay. So grain free. I feel like trends in veterinary medicines or dog and cat care tend to follow what's going on in human medicine. So there was this big kind of wave towards gluten-free, and just everyone thought that they had celiac disease and they were gluten intolerant within the last 5 years and couldn't eat, all those things. So the same kind of trend happened in dog and cat foods. And actually there were certain heart conditions that spiked after people started giving grain-free foods to their mainly dogs. I don't think this was as much in cats, but with dogs, there was a spike in the incidence of dilated cardiomyopathy or DCM. And like I was talking about earlier, cause and effect, I do think there was enough evidence to say that the diet was playing a role in the development of that heart disease. So dogs and cats do not require a grain-free food without a diagnosed medical reason. There are cats and dogs that have gluten sensitivity. Yes, it does exist, but to automatically feed a grain-free diet is not necessary. If you've proven a gluten sensitivity, then by all means. But we use cardiologist that travels around and does echocardiograms at different clinics, and she actually was putting in her write-ups to not feed grain-free foods, and that they were, causing heart disease or a potential cause and effect with heart disease. It's just not necessary. Again, without a diagnosed medical reason.
Nice. Cool.
I'll get off my soapbox. I don't usually preach on things because I actually do feel like every dog or cat is different, and something that is appropriate for one may not be appropriate for another. And you have to just kind of decide or use your best judgment and the history of the patient. But on that, I will proselytize a little bit.
Okay. Catching up on the live chat, Damon asked, do dogs understand that the vet is helping them?
I wish, Damon. Oh my gosh. I think some do. Honestly, we have some dogs who will, pull their owner to get in to our clinic. And I think that's because we give a lot of treats. Um, but we have the same number
some love
who,
it.
yeah, are just terrified. And, you know, there is a certification that vets offices can get. It's for fear-free handling and practices. And you have to meet certain standards to qualify for that. And then you can advertise as it. There's been a very, really just a good shift towards that in the last, say, 8 to 10 years, where the realization was that the less stress these visits can cause for the pet, the better off they will be, of course. And then the easier it is just on everyone involved. So a lot of sedation and that's not in a bad way, but giving an anti-anxiety medication or calming sedative before they even come to the clinic. That's actually a really beneficial thing for a lot of animals. We get the owners request the same for themselves. Can't do that, but a calming medication and then just doing certain things inside the clinic to make it less stressful for them. Bubba hates going to the clinic. Huh, Bub? He just hates going anywhere. But we do our best, and it's nice when we have those dogs that do like us. God, it's a good feeling, and cats too. But the ones that don't, we still try to make it as stress-free as possible. And actually, this is a good segue for the question about feral cats.
To find that?
It's on the last page.
No, we had to move that around, but I can find one.
No, it was 2 people.
Is it a behavior one?
Sorry, I'm leaning. No, go back. Someone asked a question about feral cats here. These 2.
Okay. All right, so we had a couple of questions.
I'm going to chew while you read.
You chew. Bubba's close to the babka.
No.
All right. So Wildflowers of Songbirds ask, how can we get a feral cat that took up with us on the first day we moved into the new house, lives in our garage and has free range, to accept a rabies shot? And then Kathleen D asked, I have 2 young cats that were born of a feral mom and are not really domesticated. They're over a year old now. Anything I can do? They'll let me pet them, but not get them to a vet. So feral cats and the problems we're in.
And just having been talking about fear-free and those, that subject, I felt like it was a good segue into this. And yes, Sally G, is Bubba a Mastiff? He's an English Mastiff, and he's going to be 10 on August 5th. So he is a senior boy. He's lying down now. So yeah, as far as the feral cats, so feral cat refers to a non-domesticated, a cat that was probably born in the wild, raised without a lot of human interaction. It's hard because those cats are not used to any type of being in an enclosure, being around people. So then you take them and try to put them into a crate and bring them into an office. It's really stressful for them. I mean, we've had some cats where, you know, we've just haven't really been able to do anything with them, unfortunately, because they just completely were untouchable. So, and that's not a good situation for anyone involved. So the one thing I would suggest in that instance is, one, see if there's a vet that will come to your house. It's still going to be stressful for them because they'll have to be inside enclosed and a stranger is going to be trying to interact with them, but it's a little better than taking them somewhere. If that's not available, then see if you can find someone who would actually prescribe a medication for you to give them before you take them in. The one I use most commonly for that is called gabapentin. It comes in a capsule form with a powder inside. So you can usually sprinkle it on their food. You don't have to try to give it directly in the mouth. And I would have you give it the night before and the morning of. And it is calming. So they are going to get a little loopy from it, but the goal is that they will then be at least handleable and able to get at minimum a vaccine, but hopefully an examination as well.
Handleable?
I don't know. I'm kind of chocolate high. So yeah, some vets won't do that without having seen the pet, and you get into this vicious cycle of, you know, well, they can't be seen without sedation. they won't prescribe sedation without them being seen. So we will do that if the owner says they're really stressed out, I need to give them something before I bring them in. We will prescribe, that single dose or those 2 doses for you to give, and see if that at least helps. The injection, the rabies vaccine, it's subcutaneous, so it's just a matter of trying to restrain them enough to, get it underneath the skin. So, if we had to do more than that, then sometimes we would give an injectable sedative to then make them calm enough to do full examination or get blood testing. But if it's really just to get a vaccine, then that's the procedure for doing that is the same as giving them an injectable sedative. So hopefully an oral sedative like the gabapentin would be enough to then be able to give them a vaccine.
Don?
Oh gosh, am I rambling?
No, I'm teasing. All right, we're going to pair up a couple of questions here on a similar topic, right? So Ellen G and Dorothy Leach, and I think they're both with us tonight. Ellen G, my dog is 18 going on 19. He has a lot of problems settling at night. He sleeps with me, but he does circling and panting is just normal at his age. And then Dorothy Leach says, I have a 15-year-old Jack Russell Terrier, and I'm wondering if dogs suffer from dementia. I wonder about his strange behavior at times.
Yeah. Good questions. Dogs can definitely have, behavioral changes as they get older. And yes, I'll refer to it as dementia just because that's kind of a known term. The medical term is cognitive dysfunction, but it is very similar to dementia. Obviously in a person to diagnose that, they're going to ask you questions and see if you can remember certain things. And we can't do that in a dog.
Well, is this kind of like when people always say when their dog's just getting senile, or is that
exactly?
Different?
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is.
So there's not that way of diagnosing it though, of asking, what's today's date, who's president. We can't, ask dogs those types of questions to diagnose it. So it becomes kind of a diagnosis of suspicion. They're of the right age, they're acting a little unusual. At one point, I do remember having like a checklist that a dog owner could look at and say, yes, 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 those things are happening. So if there's changes in their feeding habits, their sleep habits, maybe their housebreaking, their just overall interaction with people, either being a social dog that's more removed or opposite, a dog that was maybe a little less social than becoming very clingy. So yes, it does exist. If there's a suspicion for it, usually, again, there's not any specific test. If it seems like there's more going on than just fogginess, then maybe I would refer to a neurologist, and you can have an MRI done of the brain. There are tests that can look for other causes of behavior changes. But if everything just seems like they're acting different and they're, again, the right age and having those symptoms, then it does exist. There aren't a lot of successful treatment options. I do think it's still on the market. Oh gosh, again, maybe 15 years ago, there was a medication that came out that really, they did that big push like the pharmaceutical manufacturers do when they get a med, and this is going to make your senile or your dementia, your cognitive dysfunction dogs act like a puppy again. It's called Anapril. And the times I used it, it really didn't seem to have that much of an effect, to be honest. So I kind of shied away from continuing it just because the results I was getting, it just wasn't as encouraging as the manufacturers made it seem. But that medication does still exist. As far as I know, I haven't used it in years. And then just your usual, keeping their patterns as similar to normal as you can. And just kind of rolling with the changes, as long as they're still eating well. Sometimes the housebreaking issues can be a problem. Like if they're just losing their housebreaking, I know that's not always easy. But if it's just a matter of them being maybe a little more restless or just not as having different behaviors, then usually it's tolerable. The restlessness at night is definitely something that can be addressed with a calming agent at night, whether it's melatonin or whether it's just actually a tranquilizer or sedative. That can be helpful for those nighttime issues.
That works for you too.
Oh, stop. But yeah, there are ways to help some of the symptoms. And yes, it's a very common issue actually.
Good.
Yeah.
Don't read the
I know,
chat.
I know.
All right. Next question comes from Judy. Judy, my dog hates to have his nails clipped. Is there a way to make it easier?
There were a few questions about nails. I think with someone it was that they won't let their groomer cut the nails anymore, the
Yeah.
dog. Preventative wise, so if you have a puppy, starting young to try to get them used to having their feet handled. This obviously is not going to apply to Judy because the dog already hates nail trims. But when you get that 8-week-old puppy, just they're sitting with you, hold their nails, kind of pinch their toes, not rough, but just, hold their feet just so they get used to that. Trim one nail at a time, even. It just again, make it seem like it's a normal thing. If you only ever pull those nail trimmers out once a month and you try to do all 20 nails at once, that's kind of a big production for them. They might fight you more, but sometimes it's just doing a little bits at a time. In Judy, in your specific situation where the dog already hates it, it's just going to take some retraining. Maybe, if he hates just even the sight of the nail trimmers, bring the nail trimmers out and just set them with his food bowl or set them with something that has a positive feeling to it. And don't even try to trim, just have them be sitting there so that he doesn't, have this immediate anxiety on seeing the trimmers. And then just give treats, positive reinforcement. Bubba's not terrible for nails. He doesn't like it, but he definitely, he'll let me do it, thankfully.
I'd rather not have it done.
Yeah. So I just try to, of course we give him treats before and after. I did see a trick once that I never, I haven't tried, but did you see this? The person that would put the saran wrap around their head and then they put peanut butter on the front of it. So then
why don't you try that, Mark?
I will, not with Bubba. He would eat my head. But then you have peanut butter on your forehead and you're trying to trim your dog's nails while they're licking the peanut butter off your forehead. I don't know. That worries me a little bit. If they are in any way going to get aggressive about the nail trim, you don't have a way to stop them coming at your head. So I'm just pointing it out as if anyone's seen that video, but yeah, it's going to take time and work. You're just trying to take it from right now. It's a negative. It's maybe uncomfortable or just something about it. If he got his nail cut too short at one point and just remembers that, because a nail trim on its own doesn't hurt. It's only if you cut back to where the blood vessel and nerve are, that's where it hurts. And the one time that happens, they might just then hate it the rest of their lives. So just be very careful about the amount that you're trimming. And if nothing's happening, if it's really just, not going well, you can try a file. It takes forever and a day if their nails are really long, but you can try filing the nails instead, or you can use a Dremel, which is a rotating, it's actually a Dremel is one of the manufacturers. That's a tool that has these rotating heads that you can put on it that have a sandpaper, and you can try that on the nail. So you're turning it from a clip of the nail into a filing. And I'm not in any way saying that they're going to enjoy that, but it is a different sensation. So it's just something different. Anyway, just giving those ideas to you. It's just gonna, once it becomes a negative, it's hard to then make it better. So just trying to encourage it to not be a frightening thing from the beginning. And again, lots of treats, lots of positive rewards. If they are really fighting and resisting, not that you want to give in to that or, okay, fine, I'll stop, because that could then encourage them to resist the future ones. But you also don't want to, those first few times you try to do it, be like really holding them down and increasing their stress. And I see Joe Schmo says only clip the needle tips. Good point. As I was saying before, the minute you cut too far, it's going to make it 10 times harder. So just do little bits. don't try to take too much at a time, because that's when you're risking cutting back to the nerve, and it's just going to make it worse. So just a nail will kind of come to a point almost. So it's growing out. I don't know which way to go. It's growing out and then it starts to narrow down. Go to where, go stay after where it's narrowing down. You just don't want to risk cutting too far. So take small amounts more frequently than trying to take a large amount all at once. Hi, Bubba. Oh my goodness. Look at how handsome he is. Oh, I love my dog. Clear nails are a lot easier than nails that are black for obvious reasons. Clear nails, you can at least see the blood vessel, but that's where, especially with a black nail, just don't try to take too much. You're going to regret it. And I've done it. It happens. Some dogs have a longer quick than others. So you think you're barely taking any and you've taken too much. Just start small. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I know.
Susan had a question. I use a collar called
Scalibor.
Does it contain ivermectin?
I remember that collar. We stocked that before Seresto. I cannot remember if it had ivermectin. Can you probably do a quick Google?
Yeah, someone can Google that, right?
Yeah.
Does
I'm
Scalibor
sorry, I
have
can't remember.
ivermectin?
I don't
think
want
I'd
to
ask that today.
Yeah, I don't want to give the wrong answer on that. And ivermectin isn't universally bad. There are certain breeds that are sensitive to it. I don't know if you have one of those breeds. It's usually Shelties, Collies, Border Collies, Australian Shepherds can be. So, but I'm sorry, I can't remember. I haven't used that one in a really long time. A quick Google will tell you.
I will say this. Joe Schmo says, Bubba has the Scream mask.
Yeah.
I always thought Bubba kind of looked like the Scream mask.
Yeah. He's very handsome though.
He's got that look to
He's
him.
getting some gray hair. He's got that distinguished gentleman look.
So now that Joe is with us, we also had a Joe Schmo question from the chat the other night.
Maria.
Has anyone asked about cats' wet ears but not runny? We have a microscope and don't see mites.
Wet
I'm
ears.
thinking yeast. So
Okay.
wet ears but not runny ears.
I wonder, and Joe, if you're still in there, it looks like you are, but do they scratch at their ears a lot, shake their heads? Are they symptomatic, or is it just that there's kind of a moisture in the ears? Because it might just be a little bit of oiliness or wax without infection. And that's more of a grooming issue than a medical issue. Can I move this a little bit?
Yep. That's fine.
No, it's fine. But yeah, so I guess silly question too, but if there's multiple cats, are they licking each other's ears? And that's what's maybe causing the moisture. No. What did I ask that he's saying no to? They're not symptomatic, I think is what you mean. So I asked if they were scratching at their ears or showing any symptoms. So yeah, if they're not itching or shaking their heads, then it may just be their normal wax. And in which case you could just kind of use a cotton ball every so often or a Q-tip, but on the outside only. Don't put the Q-tip down in. Oh, Bob's checking out the trash. Just to collect the moisture. I would feel better with you using just a cotton ball and just kind of, go down in, scoop out some of the moisture. Because it doesn't sound like, if there was an infection, I think that they would really be, shaking their heads or scratching a lot. So probably not a problem. As far as ear infections go, those would be the things to look for. And this is dogs and cats. So shaking the head, scratching at the ear, rubbing the ear on like the floor or the side of a bed, something like that. That generally indicates some type of infection, whether it's yeast or bacteria or mites. So that's when you would want to get it checked out. I think Maria, did someone else ask a question about ears? I think their
Maria
dog
flips their paws
right
ears all the time.
I think Maria was still in here. Is it Captain Cashews?
Yes.
Yeah. Great name. So one of the other questions was about a dog that flips its ears and scratches a little bit. Some ear infections are very mild, might not, require prescription meds. But yeah, it's symptom dependent. So a really red, so inflamed ear with an odor too. Gosh, if there's an infection, the smell is usually pretty noticeable. If Captain Cashews is really having that, I definitely would get him in, Maria. I'm a little leery of talking about ear cleaners and that in a show like this, just because it trends a little towards giving medical advice when I in veterinary medicine, you're supposed to have a client-patient relationship to really give specific medical advice. I feel fine talking about the generalities of illnesses, but I'm a little leery of talking about ear cleaning and that type. Just it kind of reaches the borderline. But yeah, Joe Schmo, feel free to clean out that moisture with Q-tips. And then Maria, if your dog is really doing a lot of shaking, scratching, and then odor or redness in the ear, then take them in when you can.
All right, it's 8:30.
That's fine, Joe. So yeah, the ear canal in a dog and cat, our ear canal goes pretty much straight. So when you put a Q-tip in your ear, if you went straight in, could puncture your eardrum. Dog and cat, there's a vertical and a horizontal. So it goes down and then over. Doesn't mean you can't cause a problem with a Q-tip, but you'd really have to force it. Just be gentle. And if they react with any type of pain or that, or just pull away from you, that tells you, okay, stop, or not so much. Barb said my cat seems to be having trouble with that. Does she mean ear infections maybe?
No, Barb has something up here. We're getting mouth surgery on a cat caused constipation 4 days later.
Oh, well, I'm assuming surgery, it was anesthesia. So yes, they can be constipated after anesthesia. Generally when I do anesthesia, we have the owner not feed after midnight the night before, and then they don't eat breakfast in the morning. So there is usually, up to a 24-hour gap where they haven't eaten. So that sometimes they just aren't making as much to come out the other end. So I tend not to worry if it's like 2-3 days that they haven't made anything. If they start to posture like they need to go and it's not happening, then that's a worrisome point. Or, if the appetite's not good. But that 24-hour withdrawal of food and then the anesthesia can slow the system down a little bit. So hopefully it gets going soon, Barb. But yeah, if you haven't noticed anything or they're having symptoms, if it's been longer than, I'd say like 3 days, at least give them a call tomorrow. It's Sunday here, so I say tomorrow just because most vets are closed right now.
What do you want to do, Mayor?
Oh, I don't know. What time is it?
8:32. 33.
People are still asking questions.
Yep.
Do you want to stay until 9?
All right, we're staying on for one more half hour, folks. Okay. So, by the way, we had some fun comments up here. Dorothy Land, I just ordered my cat Greenie's dental treats. Thank you, the good doctor. David Ben, so love to meet your beautiful wife. Kathy, you're late, but that's fine. We're still hanging out here. Good. Lots of advice and personal stories in there, which is nice to see. Okay, you ready for something else, or you want to?
Sure.
All right. Oh, so if you're just tuning in because it's 8:30, I'm Corey. She is not Annette. This is actually my wife, Meredith, who is a veterinarian, and she's answering your pet care questions tonight. I did a live question gathering session a couple nights ago and got pages and pages. We've had a lively chat in here tonight, too. It's the first time we've done this, which has been awesome. And this will become some sort of regular show, I suppose, if that's what you want. We'll figure that out. We'll try to figure out what day of the week we do it. We could do it before Annette. That way I can be on for like 6 straight hours.
God. I don't know how you stay on for 3 hours.
It's good. You get used to it.
It's a long time.
All right. The next question comes from Joanne D. Where I live, they spray pesticides and herbicides, and my dog gets sick with the runs. Is there anything I can give her before they spray?
So I'd be curious what they're spraying. I'm assuming it's, obviously something to kill the weeds and that, I would assume.
Yeah.
Herbicides.
Yeah, pesticides and herbicides.
Is the dog eating grass with the pesticide on it? I'm assuming yes. Or it's either that they could be eating the grass, or if they walk on the grass when the pesticide is still wet and then they lick their paws. Um, so they're in either way, they're ingesting the herbicides. So I don't really think there's a something to give them beforehand. It's never wrong to give some type of a probiotic, or probiotics are very safe. You can find them at pet stores in a dog or cat form, where those are, you're basically putting the good gut bacteria into their system if you know there's going to be a stress or an insult to it. But I think a better approach is to ask, well, sounds like you can't stop the spraying. Definitely don't let them out there until the spray is dry. Most herbicides, I'm saying most, this is not all. So, don't take this for to mean everything, but most herbicides are safe once they're dry. So if you can avoid walking on that surface for a little bit of time, that's probably your best approach, other than, of course, just going away for a little bit or avoiding the spraying entirely. But you're certainly, it's an over-the-counter type of product. Certainly giving a probiotic the day of and a couple days after, that can help the GI tract too.
With you,
Bub,
he's starting again.
you haven't given him
Yes, I
attention
have.
in the last 2 hours.
He just had another.
No, I know.
Bub, let my arm go. Wait, what are you doing?
I'm trying to look something up.
All right. Bub, leave me alone. All right.
Go ahead.
You
I'm
need a
listening.
question?
I'm listening.
It's a behavior question.
Okay.
It's from Kathy Burt. My 7-year-old mini wired-haired dachshund.
I love dachshunds.
I hate the spelling of dachshund, or I hate the pronunciation of dachshund.
You don't have to say it that way.
Well, anyway, it's peeing in the house even though he knows, and does ring the bell to go out. He'll also lay on a mat at the door. He pees in the hall and in my bedroom. Sometimes it's only a dribble, not actually a big pee. He could have just come in from outside and does it. I'm so frustrated they end up buying and installing a baby gate with a door. So what's going on with this guy?
Okay. And I saw another question someone had asked about growth plates in dachshunds. So just really quickly to address that, it's a range. We were talking about it earlier for a Sheltie dog. I think for that size dog, I said 8 to 10 months. Smaller dog, maybe like 6 to 8 months. It's variable, but that would be your range on the toy breeds. Oh, Bubba is tearing up his pillow. Hey, stop. So as far as accidents in the house, Corey commented on it being a behavior question, because I have to be very honest. Behavior is very low on my list of specialties. As you can see by Bubba right now chewing his pillow up, and he actually has the same issue as well. He has accidents in the house, much less now than he used to. So first recommendation I always have to make with something like this is to have his urine checked, just because there are medical causes of urinating in the house. Someone's setting off fireworks. So your description makes that less likely to me, just because it's usually, if there's a medical cause, you would see it pretty consistently, the accidents, and then maybe it would be just a small amount of urine, or you might notice them wanting to go out more frequently. Like, there's usually other symptoms that go along with a medical cause of accidents, but it's always good to make sure and to rule that out by having a urine sample checked and a physical exam. If it is something behavioral, then I find a lot of the times the issue is that the smell is still there. So with Bub, he has certain spots, and they're usually on the hardwood floor, where I know that it's kind of seeped into or is underneath the floor, and we're going to be doing construction soon. So I haven't wanted to replace the flooring or, address it in that way. But sometimes it is a matter of neutralizing the odor in the spot that they're going to, because it's almost like they feel that spot is an okay spot to go because the odor is there from before. Even if you're yelling at them, telling them no, making it clear that you don't want them to do that. So good odor neutralizers. Nature's Miracle has some good products for that. They're really just trying to remove any last bit of odor from where the urine was. And to me, if I think it said that he's going in certain spots, like he's got a pattern where there's certain spots, just using an odor neutralizer in those spots. And then, like you said, restricting his access to them, that might make him choose another spot, unfortunately. But you can start there. There's not really, I was going to say there are certain medications, but to be honest, this sounds more like a training issue. Like you have to just get it through that dachshund skull, and for us, get it through Bubba's thick English Mastiff skull, that it's not okay, and that you don't want that to happen. Continue with the frequent, take them out frequently. Try to keep the pattern the same in that way, but neutralizing the odor of the spots where he's going the most, and restricting access to those spots as a last resort, but being very careful to not then let another spot take over. And I'm sorry, I know I wish this was my one frustration with practicing full time as a vet, is there's just so many things that I want to fix. And there's a lot that is really tough to fix, to be honest. Behavioral stuff it's hard. And I don't mean to be down about it. There are things you can do, but it's frustrating. I understand.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Phyllis, who is also dialing 42, had asked, I have a 2-year-old dog that holds his blanket in his mouth to calm down. She thinks he doesn't eat the blanket. Is there anything I can do to change this behavior?
How old? 2-year-old.
Yeah. So it's like walking around like Linus.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's kind of probably a security blanket. Some dogs do a suckling type of thing where it's just kind of like that. Gosh, if maybe he had a blanket when he was with his litter and with the mom. I mean, I don't really see a negative to it. I suppose the blanket could get stinky as a negative, if it's carrying around in his mouth all the time. I wouldn't want him to eat pieces of the blanket because that could cause an issue. And then I guess if he was really holding it in there, would it maybe wear down his teeth at some point? But that takes a lot to really get to that point. I don't see a huge negative. I guess you could try to substitute something else for the blanket. My thinking just switched to this being like a baby that uses a pacifier, and how you eventually wean them off of it.
Mm-hmm.
So he is a young dog, 2 years old. I mean, it may be something that he does grow out of, but you could try substituting. If it's just that you don't want him to carry a blanket, maybe try to find a toy. And when he's carrying the blanket, see if you can switch the toy for the blanket.
You didn't
and
notice,
then,
did you?
What, a bird? I saw a bird. Was it a bat? Oh, I hate bats. I'm gonna have to go inside. So trying to substitute something else and then eventually wean off of that. If you want to get him to drop it, offer a treat or offer something. Oh, you wash it a lot, it's fleece. Yeah, that probably gets kind of stinky. So yeah, maybe if there's a toy with a similar texture, that you could just try switching out, see if you can fool him and switch a toy out. And then eventually, maybe he'll stop entirely. I guess if we had kids, I could probably offer better advice, because I'm sure moms have had to deal with getting their kids off a pacifier in a similar way.
True.
But yeah, I think it may be something he grows out of eventually too.
Nice. Okay, thanks for the question, Phyllis, darling. All right, this one is from Dancing in the Street. How does the good doctor feel about declawing?
Oh, I'm gonna get on my soapbox again. So I'll start with this. I don't think it's something that should be legislated on a city or state level. And don't worry, it's not because I believe in it. I just think that there are reasons to perform it. When I lived in Los Angeles, I remember the city of West Hollywood I think they did enact a citywide ban. And all I could think of was, well, there's another hospital just over the border of West Hollywood in Hollywood, or, the next city over. And so if someone wants to do that, they're going to find a way to do it. So I don't think it needs to be banned entirely. I do think it needs to be very, very heavily regulated from within. So I haven't not performed one in 8 years at least. And even then it was, God, once a year. But I would only do it if I could sit face to face with the owner and say, this is what this procedure entails. This is how painful it can be for the cat. I want to hear their reasons why they want it done. And then they have to make certain guarantees, which, you know, people can say whatever they want, but that the cat would then have to be indoor only. And well, that was the main, indoor only, just because you're taking away their defenses. So to describe the procedure, and I'm not going to get graphic, but just like us, cats have 3 parts of their their toe. Where's the camera? Oh God, I'm going to be like a net. So one, 2, 3, a declaw, we are removing.
Oh, look at that ring.
What a beautiful ring. I just got it cleaned. We're removing the entire third part of the toe. And it is painful. You can imagine that really does hurt. So I described that procedure to the person who's inquiring. And what I found was that the minute I started describing it, people said, okay, no, I don't want to do it. Forget it. They were just asking about it because they grew up with a cat that was declawed. So they thought it was just something you did, like, oh, they're going to get spayed and declawed. Because it used to be very common, but it's just not that way anymore. So the minute you get into the nitty gritty of it, a lot of people just said, oh no, I don't want to do that. Forget it. The people that still had a reason, that's where it's like, okay, they had to stay in the hospital for at least 24, if not 48 hours afterwards. So we could give injectable pain relief, because of course you can send oral pain relief home, but you don't know if it's actually going to be given. So they would have to stay in the hospital with bandages. We made it so kind of strict on the aftercare that even if people got past that first description, they then said, no, I don't think I want to do this, because we actually also made it quite expensive. It's not a necessity for most cats. The reasons I would do it is an owner with an immunocompromised owner. One who, if they got scratched, it could actually be a deadly thing, or elderly or fragile skin. There's actually a medical need on the part of the owner for that cat to be declawed. So as long as they understood and agreed to the extensive pain relief and the hospitalization and the indoor only afterwards, I would do it. But it's been a very, very long time, and I hope to never have to do one again, because I really don't. I don't agree with it. I just think that there are times when it's not necessary for the cat, but sometimes for the owner. There are substitutes. So that's something else I'll do too. I'll try to give substitutes or other options. Soft paws or soft claws? Soft paws, I believe. It's a rubber cap that you glue onto the cat's nail. So if they do the physical act of scratching, it's just not going to penetrate or, break the skin. Not every cat will allow them to be put on. Yes, they do fall off. They have to be replaced. It's not a magic thing. There is some maintenance to it, but that is an alternative.
What were those things people put in their fingers to protect against? It was like an office product.
Oh,
put in
yeah,
your fingertips,
like to keep from getting paper cuts. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are alternatives. So yeah, it's not something I ever want to do. But I think it is something that should not. I don't agree with banning it at a certain level. I don't think I need to go into it anymore, but yeah, it's very rare these days, to be honest. I'd be surprised if I ever do have to perform one again.
Okay, winding down now, we have a question from Erica. This is the 27-year-old border collie. Has a large black growth on her snout the size of a marble. It doesn't seem to bother. Should I be concerned? 27 and just a little.
Well, my standard answer on a growth is every growth should be checked out.
Rubber tips. That's it, Val.
So is it something to be
Most
concerned about? I can't say without feeling it and taking a sample from it. But if it's not bothering her, she's 27. You know, I don't think you need to rush her in. But really, any growth that happens on a cat or a dog should be evaluated. The likelihood that it's something bad, if it hasn't really grown quickly, or she's not pawing at it or anything like that, I'd say there's a small chance of it being a problem. But
did anyone find out the oldest dog on record? Because this border collie is 27.
Yeah, I know. That's great.
Who's Googling that for us? It's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Good.
So yes, I have to recommend having it evaluated. But your description of it's, I'd be surprised if it was something that was going to be a problem.
Cool. All right. How about this one from Allison L? Ask Meredith what she thinks of the medication Proin.
Yep.
Proin.
So Proin, PPA.
What is that?
It's the long term. It's phenylpropanolamine. We use it almost exclusively for urinary incontinence, which is more common in females than males, and it's spayed females. So actually, we were talking earlier about the age at which to spay. Some feeling is that the early spay, the dogs that were spayed like very young, are more prone to incontinence later. So that would be another consideration for delaying a spay. But again, there's a lot of reasons to, a lot of pros and cons on each side for that. But urinary incontinence can develop in spayed female dogs as they get older, where it's usually it's involuntary. They're asleep. They're not in control of the sphincter muscles that help hold urine in. So Proin is my go-to medication to treat that. It does have some potential side effects on blood pressure and the GI tract. Really, any medication can affect the GI tract, but it's no longer used in people. It was taken off the market as a medication for people because of the blood pressure issues. But I find it very safe in dogs. And it's the most effective medication for urinary incontinence. There are other options for that, but yeah, I'd have no problems using Proin if that's what your dog's dealing with. What was the name? Allison. So
good.
Yep.
All right. Here is one from Joanna Carson. She's a longtime viewer. I have a 10-month-old pup, 40 pounds. He's a lab blue heeler mix. What are the guidelines for feeding puppies as they grow? I'm confused about if I'm overfeeding or underfeeding.
Yeah, it's hard. So the guidelines with puppies, it's based on their age and also their weight. So you usually see these charts that have, their age on the top and then their weight on the side or other way. And so you have to look at, if I have a 2-month-old dog who is, I'm doing it backwards, 2-month-old dog that is 10 pounds, I need to feed this amount versus a 4-month-old dog that's 10 pounds. It's very complicated. The volume that you feed to a young puppy is higher per pound. What's going on with my hair? Than an older puppy or an adult dog. So, for a 3-month-old dog, they might get a cup for every 10 pounds that they weigh, versus a dog Bubba's size. He's 160 pounds and he eats 4 cups per day. So the nutritional needs are much higher in a growing puppy. So I can't give you an exact amount without knowing your dog's age, weight, what kind of food it is, and what the calorie content is. But most of the manufacturers, if they have a food that they market as a puppy food, they should have one of those charts on the bag, or maybe you can Google it on their website, where they say, if your dog is this age and this weight, feed this amount. Now that's a guideline, because when you think about it, dogs have different energy levels. You know, there's 160-pound dogs that are super active, whereas we have an
Not this one.
160-pound dog who is passed out. Oh, he's not even over there.
There's a rug with 4 legs. He's
Yeah,
over here.
he barely
He's
exercises.
actually up and staring.
So you do have to factor in your dog's energy level. If they're a really hyperactive dog, then you multiply or you increase that by maybe a factor of 50%. And then actually using their body condition score. That's something that you can do at home. There's charts, or there's, you know, graphics online that show it to you. But the main grading a dog for their body condition, you're looking at their waist, their ribs, their hip bones. You're using those as a guideline. So I always tell an owner to look at a dog from above. You want to see an outline of their rib, but not the actual bone, if that makes sense. So, you know, when you run your hands down their chest, you can feel that rib right under the skin. There's not a layer of fat there. And then you want to see a nice taper to their waist right behind their rib cage. And then you want to see, but again, not, well, you want to feel the hip bone, but not necessarily, you know, see it protruding too much. So that's, I know it's kind of, it's all subjective here, but you can generally get a good idea of the condition your dog's in by looking at those areas. A little harder in a bulldog or that type of breed, but yeah, gauging your dog's body condition. And if they're looking a little thicker, then you cut the food back. If they're more active, with Bella, our last yellow lab, super active dog in the summer, especially. So I would always feed her a little bit more in the summer and then less so in the winter. So just make those adjustments and use your vet for guidance too. You know, most vets are pretty on top of weight in dogs and cats. It's kind of a big talking point. So, you know, ask them what they think. But for a growing puppy, the volume of food you give is definitely, it's high. It's a lot. And just try to use those charts on the bags. Yeah, Joe Schmo, cats and weight. Oh, forget about it. I can't, you know, the conversations about weight, an overweight cat, it's just so difficult, you know, because you have to say, well, try to get them to exercise. And I mean, telling someone to get their cat to exercise, I would be laughing internally too. I realize that, you know, you can't, it's not the easiest thing to do, but it's the diet, it's the calorie intake in most cases. In dogs, the energy level can make a big difference, but in an indoor cat, there's only so much exercise they're going to get on a daily basis. So it's getting them to, you know, stop yelling at you for more food all the time. But I hope that helps. Look on the bag of food, the actual food that you're using. Hopefully there's a similar chart on the bag. And if not, go to the website. If they have an 800 number, call the 800 number. But it is a very sliding scale for their weight and their age as far as the amount that you should give. So I can't give you a specific amount. It's just too variable.
Okay.
Oh, Allison, I see Allison's question. Yeah. Okay. So Allison had asked about Pro-In, and she said her dog is having side effects and it's making her anxious and pant. Yeah. So my feeling is that it's the effect on the blood pressure that causes that. The likelihood is that it's maybe pushing her blood pressure up a little bit. So that may be a reason to discontinue or at least decrease the dose. So I would give your vet a call. There are alternatives. The other medications, the one that's used most commonly is called DES. It's diethylstilbestrol. It's actually a hormone, and it can have effects on their red cells. So their CBC, it has its own share of effects, but it does work too. So I always lean towards Pro-In just because I felt better about it as far as the side effects. But if your dog's having those effects, then they may want to switch to something else.
Cool. Okay. Jabby asks, Meredith, what gives you the most satisfaction and joy being a vet?
Well, Great question, Jabby. I love surgery. So that's actually my focus right now. So actually for the last few years, I've tapered my schedule back to just doing surgery at the clinic I work at. They were very open to that. And I'm grateful for it because it's allowed me to keep my hand in the cookie jar or, my foot in the, I don't know. It's allowed me to stay in the field without, but doing what I enjoy the most. And so, yeah, I focus mainly on surgeries. So that's dentals, soft tissues like spays and neuters, mass removals, and then every so often I get an orthopedic surgery too. I'll fix a cruciate ligament tear, that type of thing. So I enjoy surgery of all kinds. And that's my focus now.
Very nice. Oh, so Erica's going to email pictures of her dog. Yeah, please do that. We have to thank Warren Green once
Yes.
again
Thank
for the
you,
chocolate
Warren. It's
babka.
great. I still have some left.
Yeah, I'll be live with Annette this Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. How about a round of applause for Meredith for her first show on the bridge?
Everyone.
Is that all right?
Yeah, I mean,
You know, you just did 2.5 hours.
It was 2.5 days.
Yeah.
Well, and I know,
Bub is happy.
as far as the other, oh yeah, Bubba's here. I know there's differences of opinion. What I always try to say is medicine, whether it's veterinary medicine or human, it is an art-based science. So you learn all of the details and the doses and, the actual processes that are happening inside the body. But you have to then take those things and apply them to a actual pet that's in front of you. And I don't think there's only one way to treat every condition or one way to feed your dog, one way to train them. It really is different for every patient and every pet. Yes, there can be negatives to certain medications that we then learn from and we adjust. And in Allison's case, I was commenting recently, the medication her dog is on is causing probably some side effects. So maybe we look for something else. It doesn't mean that medication's bad. It means that in that particular case, it's probably not, doing what we want it to. So I don't know why I got off on this tangent, but I just mean to say that if there's things that I have said that you've had a different experience with or a different opinion, great. I hope you shared them in the chat. And I hope that, I wasn't reading the chat because I would get too distracted, but I hope that people shared their opinions and experiences in the chat as well. Everyone's opinion is valuable. And I think this was fun. I was quite nervous, but the chocolate helped. And yeah, maybe we'll do it again.
Maybe we'll do it again. Well,
there was a lot of questions we didn't get to. I'm sorry about that, everyone.
We got a lot.
But,
we answered a lot in the live chat.
Actually, can we do one more? Because there was a question from Glenn, which Glenn is in a lot of your shows, and it worried me a little bit. So I do want to really quick, one more question.
Fine. Well, you talk to people and thank them because you're getting a lot of praise.
Glenn asked a question about his cat that was having some symptoms, lethargy here. So go ahead and read it. Right, so really quick, guys, this won't take long.
I have an older cat who is losing patches of fur, been lethargic, and has put on a good bit of weight and has lost a good bit of weight. Could this be from his dry cat food? He gets meow mix with a bit of wet food that lasts a few days and no change.
Yeah. So Glenn, I don't, this could be nothing, but at the same time, what worried me in your question was the weight loss. The patches of fur, it's a little hard to tie in, but the weight loss and the lethargy, I do think that, you should set up a time to have your cat seen. There's just far too many things that could be causing that to really go into detail, but Corey let me read the questions in advance. And that one, I just wanted to make sure we got to say, because again, it could be nothing. It may just be that the food's not, maybe we need a higher calorie food. They need to eat more. I'm not sure, but the weight loss does trigger some things for me. And I think, you should have them in. And the first thing your vet will do when you take them in is do a good physical exam. So they'll feel her belly, see if there's anything unusual there, if they're uncomfortable. But they might want to run a blood test too, because weight loss in a cat that I think was an older cat, there are some very easily treatable conditions that can cause that. So the one thing I'll throw out, which again, I cannot diagnose this, I'm not saying that this is what's going on, but hyperthyroidism is a very treatable condition that could cause weight loss and affect their coat. So just that last question stood out to me. I wanted to make sure that, not that it's an emergency, but yeah,
Some alarm.
I would have them evaluated. So, all right, I think that's enough. We'll save the other questions maybe for the next
Yeah,
time.
they'll carry over. We'll figure out if we're going to do a live. If I do a live question gathering session, I don't know if it's necessary.
No,
It's a little different with the net because we know those are going to be 3.5-hour shows usually. And we don't know where this is going to fall.
no, I mean, we still have a good number of pre-questions. And then honestly, like there were enough coming through in the live chat, but we'll see. We'll talk.
Did you give thorough answers?
I know. I'm sorry. I sometimes talk too long.
Well, people want,
Sorry.
if people want a medical professional give thorough answers. So,
yep. But thank you, everyone.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Justin's mom, but yeah, we started a little early tonight. It was really 7:00 on, but we started really 6:45ish. I came on a little earlier because we had to share a treat from Warren Green from Cat's Delicatessen, the chocolate babka.
So good.
That was
Thank you, Warren.
fantastic. So Meredith, great job tonight. We'll let all you folks know when we do the next show. Obviously, I think there's a want from you to do another one of these shows sooner than later. So Meredith and I will figure that out. In the meantime, I'll go on. I have a charity event tomorrow, so I'm not going to be around. But I will post a video of a little boat trip I took recently. So I'll have that up there for you tomorrow. Tuesday night, I'll go live. I'll figure 7 to 8 Eastern time to get questions for Annette's show. And then Annette and I will be back here on this very deck Wednesday evening at 6:30 for another edition of Ask Annette the Psychic. So that is it. So you guys can let us know in the comments section or in correspondence to me if there's a particular day of the week that you want to do the show, whether we do it every couple of weeks or so, or we'll figure that stuff out. And we have to figure our schedules out in order to do it too.
We'll be away in 2 weeks.
Yeah, normally we wouldn't think Sunday evening at 7. We kind of want prime time a different night, but we do what we can do. So anyway, thanks so much for being part of this tonight. It was fun. Right? Did you enjoy that?
I guess I am a little calmer now.
Yeah, you're fine.
We got our first one under the belt.
Now you guys were great out there too. So thanks for all the help and love and support tonight.
Gloucester
That was
girl.
awesome.
Who's Gloucester girl?
We have a Gloucester girl. Which Gloucester girl are you? Could be anybody.
All right. Thanks,
anyway.
everyone.
Okay, we'll see you guys next time. I'll see all of you here Tuesday evening for your Annette questions. So that's it. So thanks to everybody out there, and we will see you on the other side. Bye for now. Eat it.